Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming, where we combine mediocre gameplay with expert science. I'm Ken Hansen, Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Florida State University. I'm a photochemist/photophysicist. I shine light on molecules and materials and then track what happens to that light energy, whether it moves electrons, energy, makes and breaks bonds. Hopefully we do something useful with it, like photomechanics, like solar cells, solar energy conversion. But more importantly, joining me today is Dr. Bryan Quaife. Bryan, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure. So I'm Bryan Quaife. I am an associate professor in the Department of Scientific Computing at Florida State University. I'm also a faculty associate in the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Institute. My research interest is in computational methods applied to problems of fluid dynamics, typically called CFD. I'm interested in problems in a variety of applications, spanning from wildfire type science to hydrology type applications, so things like erosion, and then also elastic membranes, such as things like red blood cells.
What do you typically teach?
So my kind of bread and butter core course that I teach all the time, almost every year, is computational methods for continuous problems. And so this in a math department would probably be called a numerical ODE, or numerical differential equation type class. And so this is kind of what I usually teach in the fall. The spring, it kind of varies just depending on the year and the needs of the department. But I quite often get a special topics course, which I try to bounce around between kind of my different areas of interest. This last year, I actually taught a brand new one, which was a lot of fun. I taught a new course that I developed called Computational Methods in Fire Science. And so it was a cross-listed between undergrads and grads. I had a great group of students, and it was just a lot of fun to design this course from scratch and share fire science with some people that have never done any kind of had any kind of formal academic training in it before.
That's fun. All right, equally important, what game are we starting with?
So I believe we are starting with one from my childhood that I used to rent all the time called Wave Runner.
What Wave Race?
Wave Race. That's Wave Race. That's right. That's right. And so this was one of the options I gave to Ken, and I think he felt, based on my interest in fluid mechanics and fluid dynamics, it was a natural choice to first game to play.
Bryan sent me a list, and I insisted this was where we're starting.
And apparently, I'm the first one to ever play this game on.
Yeah, no one has played this on stream yet.
Right. So maybe I'll inspire future.
I'm going to make sure we have enough volume here.
Future CFD people to
to
try this game out.
It's a good game. I've seen it before. All right, you're up. So go ahead and press start, and we'll dive right in.
All right. Well, I'm remembering stunt mode now. I remember it was like kind of you got to run around and do tricks, basically. We'll just start the race.
Anyone in chat, is this volume a little low? Do we need it louder? Sorry, I'm going to hijack this.
No, go for it. I'm figuring out which... I think they're all the same at the end. Oh, this is just the color I'm picking.
Oh. All right, there we go. So yeah, what age were you when this one came out?
When did it come out?
This would have been 96, something like that.
So I would have been 14.
Just middle school to high school transition.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it was that was a special time when one kid got a Nintendo 64.
That's right.
And everyone was at their house.
Yeah.
And a dozen kids taking turns with a 4-controller setup.
That's right. Yeah, this was, I think, the first game that I remember, at least that I had, where you could have more than 2 people playing at a time. It was kind of...
that blew people's minds.
That's right, because, and the maybe one of the biggest problems that we ran into was TVs were not as big back then as they are now. And so you're Oops, I'm gonna go this way. You're sharing, 4 people playing Mario Kart together on a 19-inch screen TV or something like that. And,
you made the most of your 64 pixels or whatever you got per screen. The good old days.
Yeah. That's when you had to kind of cram up close to the TV.
Yeah. Well, for Halo and GoldenEye, I was screen watching, right? It was cheating. Finding out where people were camping. The good old days of gaming.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right. With Golden. Yeah, I forgot that with GoldenEye, you can kind of compete against your friends where you're trying to find them and blow them up or whatever.
Yeah, they have a modern version of that called stream sniping.
Okay.
So if you're playing one of those games multiplayer online and somebody can bring up your Twitch stream, they can watch you play.
Oh.
So they can screen watch you via Twitch.
And then and then use that to their advantage.
Yep. And so for some tournaments, people have been banned for doing this stuff, actually. Because it was like, you shouldn't have known where that person was, but you did. So, yeah, it's a bold move. Cheating on an online stream.
Yeah.
Oh, man, green screen. The beer is...
the beer looks black on the green screen, I think, doesn't it? Or...
It's transparent.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I see it. Except the moose isn't.
She's got a moose swimming along.
That's right.
The moose. I like that choice. So I don't know if you catch an accent in me at all. Can you guess where I'm from originally?
I can't. I don't know.
Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Yep,
That's actually where a lot of people think I'm from. Actually.
Yeah.
When they hear my accent.
Well, I get accused of being a Canadian once in a while.
Okay.
So where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Alberta.
Alberta. Okay.
Which is number 2 from the west. So we share a border with Montana.
Yeah.
For people that don't know their Canadian geography. So yeah, that's where I grew up and started my education before I moved to before I moved for my PhD and then ultimately to the south.
We landed in the south somehow.
Landed in the south.
Did you miss it? Do you miss the snow and cold?
I don't miss the snow and cold. I miss my I miss my family and just being closer to home. But but I certainly do enjoy the heat. Doesn't bother me that much actually. I don't know what you're like with because in some sense you're in the same situation as me where you grew up in the snow and the cold, and now you just never have to shovel another piece of snow in your life as long as you live here. And for me, I'm willing to deal with the 100-degree summers kind of thing to not have to shovel all winter long.
It's one of those things that unless you've lived in that environment, you can't appreciate that part of it, just how much time and effort it took to deal with snow.
Yes.
Like warming up the car, getting dressed, planning your day around snow. Those subtleties, that's a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
And you can watch snow on TV and be like, oh, snow's so cool.
Magical.
It is magical for brief periods of time when you don't have to clean it up.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and the other, I don't know who, I can't remember who I was talking with recently, but I was remembering another kind of disastrous, or not disastrous, but painful element of living in the snow, and that's when you have kids. Because you got to get your babies in their car seats.
Yeah.
And when they're wearing a snowsuit, they just never go in right. Not doing very good here.
Well, that's the thing too. Even now, leaving with my kids, it takes a lot of time, and then you add on top of that another 2 layers of clothes.
That's right.
Plus packing in. Hell no. Find the gloves. Find the hats.
That's right.
What a nightmare.
And if you're going on a road trip, you got to kind of bundle them up just to get them in the car, but then you got to layer them down, otherwise they're going to roast in the car.
And Lori, and the parking lot diminish in size with all the plowed snow piles.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, man. But I will say I miss hockey. I miss seeing hockey regularly, going to hockey games.
I do miss that too, but I've been watching the Stanley Cup right now. Actually, there's a game I think today. I think New York is playing Florida right now.
That's awesome.
Starts at 7 or 8 or something like that. And
so I didn't keep track of pro. I kept track of college. I don't know if you're familiar with my undergrad, St. Cloud State University. They're consistently in the Frozen Four.
Sounds familiar, but not.
It's like Minnesota, Colorado, and then Boston. Those are the teams usually. So, yeah.
I know Boston College. I remember because I had there was a guy that used to play. So I always cheered for the Calgary Flames. It's a pretty rough team to cheer for these days, but you gotta be faithful. But there's or loyal.
Yeah.
But there was a player that used to play for me. He's moved on since. Who played at Boston College? Who's kind of a popular guy. This guy named Johnny Goodrow. I don't know if you've heard the name or not.
Yep.
And you can ride up on the grass, but I think I'm going slower. Yeah.
These graphics were so realistic.
Yeah, that's right. It's just what it's like in real life. Yeah.
Oh man. Wave race.
Yeah.
There's got to be a snowmobiling game for Nintendo 64.
So. Yeah.
I've never actually looked.
Well, there used to be. I think I'm trying to remember if there's one where you raced airplanes as well. Like I think they've kind of taken every vehicle and turned it into a racing game at some point.
Sega made a Hypercross snowmobile arcade game.
Okay.
There's Snowcross for the PlayStation. It doesn't look like there was anything earlier than that, unless anyone in chat wants to correct me on that. The snowmobiling games. Nostalgia. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota is actually colder than where you were. For some reason, it's the plains to the west.
And you guys get lake effect stuff there? Or is that more
no, that's on the East Coast?
That's more the Buffalo, Michigan kind of side. Yeah.
And the lake effect actually helps you because it's warmer, but you get more snow.
Right, you get high volumes of snow. That's right.
Yeah, and so before that, you get less snow, but you get colder winters. So I remember a minus 60 C with wind chill.
Yeah, I definitely seen the minus 40s, and I always, when people ask me, what's the coldest you've ever seen? I'm like, I remember minus 40, and they go, is that in Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That's where they meet.
Exactly. That's such a good metric.
Yeah.
I like that number. So it seems like it's coming back pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't even see where I'm placing. Did I just move up a rank? I can't tell.
You're rank 1
plus. Am I rank 1?
I think so.
Or just on that rate that was rank 1?
I don't know what the cumulative ranks are.
Oh, yeah, I'm at the top.
No, you're dominating.
I don't know what the username is there.
Hayami?
Hayami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It picks it for you.
Okay. Oh, so I'm tied for first. So I won that race. Now I'm tied for first. It looks like on the cumulative.
Oh, Lori's asking what the drink of choice tonight is. Yeah. So Lori, tonight you can see it there, Moosehead Canadian Lager. So not particularly near and dear to your heart. This is another one where Brian gave me a list and it was a mistake because I chose this one. The other two were Lablat and
Blue,
and Molson Canadian.
Yeah.
And those two I'd never had Moosehead before, so I'm like, let's try Moosehead.
Right.
And then you learned.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I don't know if I'd ever had Moosehead before, but I just went on the ABC Liquor website and searched Canadian beer, and it showed up those three options. And then Ken picked this Moosehead, and then I was mentioning this to one of my students, and then he was telling me that that he'd heard, independently from another one of my students who's actually Canadian, that Moosehead is the worst beer available in Canada, but it's fine with me. I'm not minding it at all. So, it's nice to have a new beer. It's from the East Coast, whereas I'm from the West Coast. But
it's just a casual, not like a craft beer or anything. It's just you can drink 7 of these and hopefully feel okay.
Yeah.
Except they're large. They're the 16-ounce ones.
Yeah, they're the big can.
So, sorry, Laura, you can't see it. You can see the Moosehead, but the rest of the can is green, so we get green screen effects. Now we have a moose in the water. I'm always excited to try new drinks because, especially international guests, Canada included. There's a lot I haven't tried, so I'm excited for the opportunity, so I appreciate it.
Even though you grew up so close to Canada as well.
That's what's crazy.
So did you used to go there as a kid at all? Or
not that often. I didn't travel much as a kid. Like we grew up relatively poor, so like our trips were to Minneapolis. So I don't know if you know Minnesota geography, but about an hour north of Minneapolis is where St. Cloud is. And so I was outside of that in a town of about 1,600 people. So
and so how far would the Canadian border be from there if you wanted to go there?
3-4 hour drive.
That's a pretty good drive.
Yeah. Because you go up through the boundary waters, and I did it a couple times, but not that common.
Yeah, I know a lot of I can't think of anyone in particular, but I've heard these stories of people that lived, close to the Canadian border on the U.S. side, and they would take advantage of the age gap between 18 and 21, when they would be your 90, depending on which province it is. But between in Canada, the drinking age is lower than it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then casinos and all this kind of stuff too. And so they would run to Canada and do things that the Canadian federal government would let you do. And, well, marijuana wasn't legal when I was that age there. But, but yes, now it is.
Yeah. No, that's I saw a factoid. I don't know how long ago this was. I don't know if this is still true, but it's something like 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the border or something like that. Yeah. So it's most of Canada lives right there.
That's right. I was actually looking this up too. I was going to drop this as one of my factoids, but I didn't. So you didn't. You didn't
I didn't
swipe on
spoil
my
it.
factoid. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, it was a similar. It is a large number. I don't know if it's 90 or from in the 80s or something like that, or if it's you got to go 150 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Nobody wants to live in the tundra.
Yeah, that's right. But I grew up north of Calgary, and actually Calgary's not even in the in this buffer.
Oh, really?
And so I thought Calgary would be in it. Just because to have 90% of the population of Canada, I thought you'd have to include Calgary, because it's got 1.2, 1.3 million people or something like this.
It's huge.
It's kind of in the top 5 in the country or something like this. But apparently, there's enough just in Ontario, kind of from Toronto stretching down, that makes up such a huge portion of the Canadian population that there is some number, like there's some high percentage. I gotta go this way. Some high percentage of people that live that close to the U.S. border.
So Calgary, you were there during the Olympics? You were young, obviously.
The Olympics were in
Winter
'88.
Olympics, yeah.
I was very young.
Yeah.
So I don't remember that really, and I grew up. It was a 2-hour drive north. So even it was still. I don't think I experienced any of the actual Olympic events. We never went to Calgary and caught an event, but I did my PhD in Vancouver, and they had the Olympics in 2010.
Yeah.
So then I was an adult and got to I went to one event and went to the festivities downtown and stuff like that, and so that was it's an experience to live in a city that's hosting the Olympics.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that is fun. All right, we've talked a lot of history. We should get to our standard one, because all of us have very different journeys getting to where we are today. And so, I mean, for you, we saw the transition from Calgary, and then you went to grad school and so on and so forth. But along the way, there were many milestones where you narrowed down your expertise. You chose science, you chose a domain of science, and then you pursued that domain. What were the milestones that you remember that led those transitions during that journey?
To where I am today.
Yep.
Yeah. So my sister goes far back as kind of my childhood. And
let's do it.
Okay.
What do you remember? What were the pivotal moments?
Yeah. So I was always my department of scientific computing. We have PhD students in a PhD program, but it did not exist when I was a student, or maybe it did, but it was not as common. And so me and most of my faculty, or most of my colleagues in my department, are actually not trained as computational scientists. We're all trained in some other discipline. And so I was trained in mathematics. And it's kind of you have these things in your childhood where you kind of have these distinct memories. And I have this one in particular when I was getting ready to finish high school. I was about a year out, and I had the what do they call it? I guess maybe a calendar, they would call it, that you would get from your college or your university, and it'd have all the programs listed in there. Right? There was no online presence at this point.
Yeah.
And then you would flip through there and you'd read about the different programs they had and the courses you would take and who worked in that department and so on and so forth. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was strong mathematically, and I liked science and stuff like that. And so I was always thinking engineering, but I just didn't feel like an engineer, or that's where my calling was. So I started just flipping through this book, and I saw computer science, engineering, and kept on going. And then at some point I hit the M's, and I saw mathematics, and I go, you can get a degree in mathematics? I had no idea, right? And so I just, on a whim, I just said, sign me up. And so I signed up and got accepted, and that's how I kind of got into math. And then so I did 1 year in my hometown, and that's as far as I could go there. I had to move to a university after that, and that's when I went to Calgary. And so when I finished my undergrad there, I did an undergrad in both pure and applied math. It was another crossroads. It's is it time to go to work? And it was like, no, I'm having too much fun here. I'd rather keep going to school. So I'll apply for this thing called grad school. I got no idea what it is, and we'll see what happens. And next thing I knew, I was doing a master's. And then I kind of felt my calling. It's like, okay, I really like this. I want to keep doing research. So then I applied for a PhD. And that's when I got more into the computational side of mathematics. I went to Simon Fraser University, which is in Vancouver, and they have a very strong kind of applied and computational math group there. And that's when I got into kind of the one of the methods that I still use today. And so that's that was kind of the beginning of the computational part of my journey. And then when I did my postdoc, I was at UT Austin in the what's now called the Odin Institute. That used to be the Institute for Computation, Engineering, and Sciences. And so that's when I kind of maybe started to think more about particular applications. When I was a PhD student, I still really focused just on the I did applied math, but it was very much just tied to solve this PDE with no kind of with applications in mind, but not actually answering those applications. But then when I got into Texas, then I started to work more closer and closer with kind of real problems and answering physics-based problems and doing more serious CFD. And then when I got my position here in the scientific computing department, I kept doing some of the stuff that I've been doing before. In particular, the work on the biomembranes and the erosion was kind of a spin-off of something else I did. But I really wanted to try something new or do something new. I wanted to kind of not be doing very closely related to research to the people that I had worked with over that I kind of did my PhD and my postdoc with. And that's when I got into the fire science stuff, and so that one's kind of really mine. There's no I don't have any lineage from my academic ancestors that do fire science. Yeah. So that's where I ended up there. Yeah, I don't know.
And those of you not familiar, typically when you get a faculty job, you do have to differentiate yourself from your previous work. Like, show I have an independent identity. Here's my brand, and your brand was fire.
My brand was fire. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, this world of fluid dynamics, and people think about fluid and they think about liquid, but that's not the case.
That's not a complete picture. Yeah.
I think something really opened my eyes when they were modeling exits on a shopping mall, and you can model people with fluid dynamics model and all sorts of crazy crap like that. And so you do a little bit of erosion, you do a little bit of blood flow and things like that.
That's right.
We'll start with this before we dive into your expertise. What's the most unusual application you've seen for fluid dynamics simulation?
Fluid dynamics. Oh,
I mean, it's used for flight, right? In terms of wings and air.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that.
Yeah.
But what's a weird one?
What's a weird one?
Ants? I don't know.
Yeah, you do see a lot of but I don't want to call it weird so much, but you do definitely see kind of some of this.
Unexpected.
But you do see some of this. I'm drawing a blank on the word, but kind of collective motion. That's the word I'm looking for. So collective motion is when you put a whole bunch of a particular organism together, how they behave together to be able to optimize something typically. So think schools of fish or flocks of birds. Or a swarm of bees or something like this, and they have kind of strategies that they've learned through evolution in order to minimize the amount of energy that they have to do to be able to accomplish whatever task it is that they're trying to do. And so there's a lot of people that look at kind of the collective motion. They think of it as being the dense. You think of the variable as being the density of whatever organism it is. And then the kind of equations we use to solve, that we use in fluid mechanics, like conservation of mass, says, fluid can't be created or destroyed. But for, a colony of fish, it says, fish can't just spontaneously, be created or destroyed.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of the nice analogies that you have between these types of problems. But there's tons of people that look at this kind of collective motion like this and think of it in a fluid mechanics way.
I mean, it's a fun general phenomenon. I love the abstraction that you as a person, if you're in a shopping mall, you are just one data point.
Right. You're a molecule of water.
And you have some interacting force and some collisional velocity, and
that's right.
I love it.
Right.
All right, Gold Contour, welcome back to the stream. Thank you for joining us again. Our guest tonight is Dr. Bryan Quaife. He's an expert. Well, he's a computational scientist / mathematician. He models things using fluid dynamic simulations. So those things could be erosion, they could be fire, they could be, anything as we just discussed. But Gold's question is, I just tuned in. What kind of computational models do you use? So maybe let's start with what kind of software and what kind of models.
Yeah. So the on the software side, I'm actually not kind of one of these big HPC type guys. I have students that certainly do this kind of stuff, and this is kind of one of the things that I love working with students is they can bring these kind of expertise that I don't have training in and do it. But myself, when I personally kind of write codes to do simulations, the kind of stuff that I quite often do, I can do it in MATLAB. Or in theory, I could do it in Python too, but I've been a little bit, I'm definitely kind of behind the curve on using Python quite a bit. That's right. And I'm still very much kind of a MATLAB guy. There's not as many of us left around anymore, especially with the younger generation. When the new students come in and stuff like this, they're all doing everything in Python. And so I've been slowly learning, but I'm certainly not where Sachin is, or some of my other colleagues, or where our new students coming in are at. But I do definitely do a lot of MATLAB coding. But I worked with one of my students is doing all of his work in Julia, which is kind of a newer language that Sachin talked about 3 weeks ago when he was here, and he gave a very nice kind of description of the kind of stuff you can do in Julia.
It's the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Agree or disagree?
That it's the future?
Yeah.
I think it is going to absolutely be a big part of the future. I don't want to go so bold to say it's going to be the future.
But also, shout out to you. You took second place.
Okay, I didn't even notice.
It's the first time playing this in like 25 years.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not bad. We'll
put in my initials instead of my instead of the first 3 letters of my name.
Oh,
there we go. And
BDQ, congratulations. So do you want to keep playing this?
Silver, yeah.
You want to keep playing, or you want to move on to something else?
We can. So let's try this trick one. I'm trying to remember how to do this. Yeah. So.
And I can look up if we want to refresh, but.
Yeah, I think I'll just kind of be. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do a lot of MATLAB stuff. Right. So I was going to mention too with my student that's doing the Julia. Kind of when he started on the Julia, he started with a collaboration with a colleague that used to be here at FSU, but has since moved on to a different school. But he wanted to use Julia, and I was a little bit old school, and I wanted to use Fortran. And Fortran is definitely not the future. I'm so bold to say that.
It's not dead, but it's died.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's coming back anytime soon, like it was in Fortran 77 days. But my colleague said, that's all right. You do Fortran because we can Julia interfaces with all these higher level languages kind of very naturally.
Yeah.
And in fact, it did. And so it was. That was a really fun. That was actually the erosion project.
Yeah.
And so it was a really fun project because it was kind of. It was almost there was 2 obvious components that we had to do. We had to write the. So I went stuck mode here. We needed to write the hydrodynamic code, the solving the differential equation that governs the fluid flow, and that's what my expertise was in. And so I wrote that all in Fortran, and then my colleague, he took care of the how the bodies erode based on what the solution of the fluid equations look like, and he wanted to write that in Julia, and he wrote it in Julia, and so it was just he would just call my code and say solve the Stokes equations with this geometry. And back would come the quantities he needed, and then he'd update the geometry, and then it was just kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
And so that's how kind of Julia came into that project.
So did you learn a little bit of Julia through that?
I did learn a little bit of Julia, but it's been so long since I kind of worked on it that much that it's not...
it's use it or lose it kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a foreign language.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you speak French?
I used to. I always... So I'd say I'm at a point now where I can understand the general conversation, what people are talking about.
Yeah.
So if you start trying to talk behind my back in French, I might know what you're saying. But I dare to speak back and try to try to communicate back, or it's going to be kind of very minimal. But I actually, when I was I studied French when I was a student. I was, when I was very young, it was kind of a mandatory thing in elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
And then when I got in high school, then it became an option, but I enjoyed it, so I kept doing it. And this led to an opportunity where I actually went to Quebec, the French-speaking part of the country, the French-speaking province, and did an exchange where I lived there for about 12 weeks. And so then I went. It was in the middle of the school year, so I went to a French school and had. A French family that I lived with, and so by that point I was, that was kind of the peak of my fluency in French. But that was in that was in 99. So that's the one, it's 25 years ago now.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about.
You use it or lose it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Just like programming.
Um,
Someday you will be the only one that knows Fortran. You'll be the ancient spoken one.
Actually, there are some people. So I was recently at a meeting up in Boise, and I talked to a guy in Boise State that we basically had the same conversation about what do you write your codes in. And he does kind of similar kind of caliber, same size problems that I do, right? With respect to kind of linear problems quite often, and maybe not you're dealing with maybe a few thousand unknowns or something like this, but then you're doing some kind of basic linear algebra with it or something like that. And now that's really powerful at doing these kinds of things. And so he actually was in the same kind of camp as me, so it was a lot of fun to talk with him and kind of swap stories about this is actually really cool that we can still just use MATLAB and still be productive and write papers and this kind of stuff in this kind of thing. But I am trying to kind of broaden, and one thing that I've been really trying to push more recently is to I do a lot of two-dimensional type stuff, which is you can publish, and there's important stuff that you can do in 2D, but at some point you got to go 3D. And MATLAB in 3D, you quickly run out of the ability to kind of do these complicated 3D type problems that I do in 2D. To push them to 3D on MATLAB is going to be pretty hard or impossible.
So along those lines, you do fire simulations in 2D then?
Yeah.
With propagation on a plane then.
That's right.
And so you don't have terrain then necessarily, or you have a input parameter that simulates terrain.
Yeah. So you can put terrain in there. So a lot of the most basic thing that people think about when they think about simulating fire is exactly what you just described, the propagation of the fire line, right? So you got a fire line, and then it moves, and there's certain things that are going to affect how it moves, and the big ones are of course the wind, the terrain, and the fuels, right? What type of fuels you have. And so one of the there's one particular model that's been around for quite a while now, since the 70s, named after a guy whose name is Rothermel. So people call this the Rothermel model. And I taught it last semester actually, which was a lot of fun in my fire dynamics class, or my fire methods class. But the idea is that you feed into it certain parameters, and one of them is exactly the slope, right? So if it's uphill, it changes what we call the rate of spread, which is how fast the fire is going to propagate. So if it's uphill, you get one number. If it's downhill, you get another number. So there's kind of this attenuation factor that says how fire is going to how fire is going to spread depending on things like the wind and the fuel type, and like you mentioned, the terrain.
All right, catching up on a few. Gohaku, welcome back to stream. It's great to see you. Learning French without Duolingo or Rosetta Stone should be commended. We didn't have those.
Those are kind of modern day.
I haven't looked at them at all. Have you?
No, I'm still kind of on. There used to be one on the radio you'd hear about called Bobble, right? which was kind of one of these you'll be conversational in a week and a half kind of thing. We'll only teach you things you actually really need to know.
Yeah. So it's regurgitating sentences.
Yeah, that's right. And I had a trip up to Italy, and I was on Bobble for 10 days, and now I'm having a great time in Italy talking to the locals.
I guess Duolingo and Rosetta Stone use some educational theory behind there. So there's a method to the madness in those, but I've never used them. So Gohaku, if you're going that route, congratulations. Yeah. It's one of those. I'm too old. Kids pick it up in weeks, and we're like,
that's right. So one of my sons is learning French right now. He's doing it with Florida Virtual, and so kind of when I help him with his homework, it comes back a little bit.
You're learning,
that's right. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's like doing it all over again. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to keep playing this? What do you want to do? We have the list of games.
Yeah, we can.
Bobble, GoldenEye, Super Mario Brothers.
Do Bobble, and then I won't embarrass myself so much, because that one I actually.
Don't worry. There's
telling Ken I got the little mini Nintendo at home, so this one I play once in a while.
This is we're going back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this one's from like the 80s, I think.
It'll pop up. 1988.
Wow.
All right.
I remember my neighbors having this one on their computer, and all these games were kind of, when Ken invited me, I thought this is fantastic. It's just, there's just so much, reminiscing about all this stuff that these games I used to play as a kid, but a lot of the games I picked were all ones that I didn't own. But, the neighbors had it, or I'd rent it once in a while, like the Wave Runner, or my buddy would have it, and then I'd borrow it, and it's like, I always wished I owned it, but I never, I never bought it for myself. And then, So this has been a lot of fun to get to.
Nostalgia. Let's do it.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
My childhood.
So do you want to explain this game for those that have never seen this before?
Yeah. So Bobble. So I'm this little green. I guess I'm a dinosaur or a dragon. I think. Right. And so you have these. I don't know if you want to call them villains, but you want to try to blow a bubble at them, and then after you blow a bubble at them, you gotta pop them, and then they turn into these little bits of fruit and vegetables, which give you points, and points ultimately give you lives. And so once you kind of complete a level and kind of eliminate all these guys, then you just move on to the next level. So you can see I kind of hit that guy, and then I can just pop his bubble like that.
This was a popular one for Nintendo. People loved this game.
So people played this one?
No one has played this on stream. This one's new too. So I'm glad you picked these. We like unique ones. Get the unique screenshots.
I did some kind of research on top 100 games. That's how I saw Wave Runner. I totally forgot about Wave Runner. I was like looking up so that guy hit me before I.
It's awesome you looked that up, because whenever a guest is like, "What should I play?" I'm like, "Here is a top 100 list. See what looks familiar," because it has like screenshots and you remember it. I don't remember the names of a lot of games I played, but yeah. Contra, Gotta Smash, Grumple Grommet? Is that one of the characters?
I have no idea what they're called. There's ghosts. I don't know what these guys are. These are like they look like little wind-up toys, I think, right? But if you capture them all, if you call them capture, but if you get rid of all of them but one, then that one turns into a really fast, and he kind of runs around like really crazy like he was, and so he's harder to catch because he's going so fast. Okay, so Ken's looking up what the...
I'm looking up the lore, because the problem is when we had these games back in the day, rarely would you have the manual with it.
Yeah,
you just rent the cartridge, and like they didn't list the names in the game. It's the name of the boss guy. I haven't thought about this game in ages. Welcome back.
Right. Yeah, I haven't, and I remember my neighbors having this, and they actually had it on a PC. But I didn't. I played the Nintendo version maybe 3 times a year or something like that with one of my kids, and so I'm a little bit more versatile on it than
Rumple Grommet.
Runner.
Did he pick Dig Dug or no Dig Dug or Gauntlet? We haven't had anyone play Dig Dug yet. That's a classic. Sparky, welcome to the stream. First time chat. Thank you for joining us. You should click follow if you are not following already. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Bryan Quaife. He's an expert in fluid dynamic simulations, and he is doing a nostalgia trip. We did Wave Race 64. Now we're diving into Bobble. So yeah, we're excited to dive into it, but I'm going to catch up on some comments back here previously. Nerd with the Doodle, first time chat, thank you for joining us. Thank you for dropping a question. Again, click that follow button. You can join us. We should do a prediction sometime quick, but they want to know, what is the most challenging language or new problem you've had to learn or dive into? And that's intriguing, because like you can't address certain problems till you learn the language to do the program.
Yeah,
you have an activation barrier that's pretty profound. What's the most challenging language or problem you've dove into?
So problems would definitely be the fire type problems. These are just there's so much physics and so many scales that are going on here, and so some of these codes that people use to do fire dynamic and these types of simulations are millions of lines of code and just crazy to work with. Well, I just got captured there. So yeah, I would say that's definitely where kind of that's the application in my work, where I have which give me that I have to spend the most time kind of learning what's going on inside these models and the equations and so on and so forth.
Right, Gohaku has a follow-up on Bobble.
Okay.
What do you think the speedrun record for beating this is?
Oh, I don't even know how many levels there are on it, actually. So
you've never beaten this?
I don't think. Well, maybe, but so there's I don't know what's going to happen with the emulator here, and I think Ken put on some cheats for me, so that'll be. But even on the little mini Nintendo I have, even when you run out of lives, I think you only have 3 or 4 lives or whatever, you can get some extra lives, but you don't, you can just hit continue and you start back on the level you were on, that you didn't complete, so you never have to really restart. But there's one level in particular that I always have trouble with, and that's where I always get stuck. But sometimes there's this, you can see these little gems and tokens popping up, and there's one of them that skips, 4 or 5 levels. And so if I get lucky and get one, I don't know how you get those tokens, but if I get one of them kind of right as as I'm coming up on this level that I'm unable to pass, then I get to skip it, and then I'm actually able to make progress. But so far I've been, I haven't made it past, I think it's like level 60 something in quite some time.
So I just looked it up. There are 100 levels. Brian,
Okay.
what's your guess on the fastest someone has beaten this game?
Okay, so this has been done?
100 levels, yep.
Okay, maybe 20 minutes?
29 minutes and 21 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, the game came out in 1986. Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Go Haku had a follow-up. The fluid dynamics, and he's playing Bobble. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a Bubble Dynamics.
That's right.
Which can be modeled with fluid dynamics.
Oh, yeah. So here's one of these umbrellas here I was talking about. So I think if I hit this, I'm just going to skip a bunch of levels now.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
kind of handy. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to beat this, you got infinite lives. Also note we have God mode and infinite time if we need it. So
yeah,
you're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. And Go Haku, you missed it. We started out with Wave Race 64, so we were fluid dynamics themed tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
Even FSU's research Twitter account caught on that, so it's pretty.
Yeah, I didn't think about the bubble so much, but this work on the biomembranes, these are elastic membranes inside of a fluid, which a bubble is as well, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I did pick a lot of fluids type applications here or games here.
So I need to come up with a new term, given the unique nature of Ask a Scientist gaming. There's something called nominative determinism. Have you heard of this?
No.
Where someone's named like John Teeth, he becomes a dentist, right? Where your name determines your expertise.
Yeah.
I need to have some kind of correlation between your expertise and the video games you play. You might be case study number 1 on that front.
Then I do the bubbles, and I don't think I picked any. I don't think there's fire in any of the games that I picked. So.
Yeah. Fluid dynamics. All right, Lori has redeemed request a factoid. So,
okay.
You want to drop a factoid bomb?
Yeah.
We got the Canadian border one already.
Yeah, that's right. So the other ones I wrote down were more are more scientific. So I need to kind of remind myself so that I make sure I hit them all, or hit all the kind of the main points. So this one's maybe a little more on the. Let me just see which one I want to do. Yeah, you can.
I'll pause you.
Right.
Infinite lives, but we don't want to see him suffer.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe this is kind of a nice fluids type discussion that might be interesting, and that kind of ties in nicely with a thesis defense that actually happened earlier today that I was on the committee.
Oh wow.
Today,
what the heck? After semester deadline, what was the?
Actually they're going to graduate. They're going to walk in August.
Okay, I was going to say
very early because the committee couldn't kind of get together in June, and so this is just kind of the way the cookie crumbled with this student.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So when you think of fluid dynamics, there's obviously the velocity, which is the speed and the direction that the fluid is going at a given location at a given time, but there's also, given the velocity, you can calculate all these different quantities as well, and one of the key ones is what's called vorticity, and so vorticity is it's mathematically, what you do is you take the velocity field and you take what's called the curl of it, which is just kind of a fancy derivative of it, but. Physically, what the vorticity is doing is it's telling you what the local rotation is of a parcel of fluid, say, at a particular location. And so there's 2 terms that I dropped there, and so one is rotation, which is pretty obvious what that means. So it's something turning around, but then I also dropped this word local. And so that means you're not just rotating around any axis; you're kind of rotating around your own axis. And so when I first studied fluid mechanics, actually my PhD advisor was the professor, and she had this really cool analogy for it, or description of vorticity, where if you go to the state fair or something like that, or even the playground, and you jump on the merry-go-round, Or if you go on the, when I was a kid, you called them the swings at the fair. So you sit in those chairs, and then the whole thing kind of spins around, and you by centripetal force, you're kind of pulled out a little bit. But you are actually experiencing no vorticity, because you are not rotating around your own axis. You're rotating around the axis of the ride or the merry-go-round, right?
Yeah.
But if you imagine now that you're inside of if you're inside of a river, say you're going, tubing down the Ichituckney or something like this, and then suddenly you start to rotate inside the tube because you hit a little eddy or a little current or something like this. And so that's what vorticity is. That kind of rotation is being caused by vorticity. And so there's vorticity everywhere in the atmosphere. I'm thinking about here in particular. It's talking about the fire application. And so it can be generated by a variety of things. And so the vorticity can be generated by, or is going to be generated, for instance, just by the fact that as the wind comes by, say, a building or a structure or even a tree, that's going to create vorticity on the back side of the tree, on the lee side of the tree. Or when it comes, say, over top of a hill, this is a common thing that happens in the wildfires that we see out west. California and Colorado, and these areas are very mountainous regions, and so there's a lot of hills there, and these hills actually create a lot of vorticity. And so this vorticity, you're thinking about these kind of rotating parcels of fluid that are going on, and they can actually do they can kind of lead to some pretty devastating things. And so one thing in particular that can happen is you can have vorticity that you need it to basically intensify, and you need it to focus. And so if you have vorticity that kind of all comes together in one location, and it gets more and more intense, and this is easy for this to happen in a fire environment. I'm just going to pause this for a second, because I feel like I'm not giving this enough justice here.
Yeah.
Start. Yeah. I think I got to wait till the level started. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So when this vorticity kind of all comes together and intensifies, it can manifest itself in certain ways. And so you can imagine, for instance, in the atmosphere, there's a lot of vorticity that's just going on in this direction, right? So if this is the surface of the Earth, you get vorticity that's leading to this kind of rotation. So this is what you call horizontal vorticity. But then you can have, for instance, if this vorticity goes underneath of a fire plume or underneath a fire, it's going to get lifted up by the fire plume, by the buoyant plume. And now your vorticity that's going this way starts going this way. So it's actually rotated 90 degrees. It's no longer in the XY plane, it's in the Z plane. And so now if you have all this vorticity kind of going on and it starts orienting itself in the Z plane, it can, and it starts to kind of intensify, it can turn into what people call a fire whirl or a fire tornado, which I'd never heard of this thing before. And the first time I heard it, I was getting ready to say, someone's pulling my leg here. This can't be a real thing.
Sounds like a bad B movie, right?
It is a real thing. Right? So you can have these fire tornadoes, which is exactly what it sounds like. So you have it's got kind of the similar type dynamics as a regular tornado, but it's on fire. So it's full of, burning ash and all this kind of stuff. And it can move, it can travel as well. And it's going to kind of light fires as it goes down its path. And so there's been, they're not super common, right? And it's kind of, a lot of the work I do is on the prescribed fire scale. And if we have a fire tornado, we've definitely done something wrong. There's way too much intensity in that case.
They chose the wrong day to start that
right,
fire.
It's too big of a fire. But if you're, but if you have an unplanned fire, an out of control fire, and in particular, I'm just going to make sure I get the right one. There was, I think it was, the car fire in 2018. So this is somewhat of a famous one. It was actually sufficiently intense that it created a fire tornado, and it got measured at over 140 miles per hour was what the wind was. So this is a 140 mile, fire wind going on, and it was they measured it at a so when I looked it up, it said EF3. To me, I just say F3, right? That's the speed of the tornado, or the intensity of the tornado. So it's equivalent to an F3 tornado, moving at 100 with winds at 140 miles an hour, but on fire along the way. and then the other kind of case that I heard about this recently happening was, I think this fire was quite a while ago. I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s or something like this. But it was in Australia. And they have in some of the more mountainous regions around the capital, Canberra, they actually had a somewhat famous fire tornado too that actually persisted for a long time. And it actually, I think it kind of went right through an urban area and kind of lit the town on fire and caused all sorts all sorts of destruction. So yeah, but I remember that first time I heard about fire tornadoes, I'm like, that can't be a real thing, but it is absolutely. You can YouTube fire tornadoes.
Fire tornadoes are real, ladies and gentlemen.
They're real. It's a real thing. Yeah, you see little ones that are just kind of, they look kind of, they don't look very big around, but you can get kind of, big intense ones as well. So yeah, I think earthquakes might have been my most, the natural disaster I was most scared of, but I think fire tornadoes has replaced it.
That's fair. All right, let's keep going. So speaking of tornadoes, anyone that was expecting this stream last week, we apologize. It was Friday we got a tornado through Tallahassee?
Yeah,
it was last Friday. We had 3 tornadoes, actually. 3 tornadoes, 2 of them converged on one and became a really destructive tornado. But it knocked out power for everyone for 2 or 3 days. We were out with 2 days. You guys?
I was out 0 days.
0 days, yeah. Nice. So you were unaffected.
0 days. I got lucky.
But yeah, we were like, should we do it? Should we risk it? Because there was another storm Tuesday night and then Wednesday morning, and it was like, okay, we'll just bump it back to this week.
We've had a lot of extreme weather here recently.
Yeah, we apologize if anyone was expecting Ask a Scientist last week, but go ahead, dive in, keep going.
Right now here.
Yeah, you got 100 levels to beat. Let's do this.
That's right. I'm only on 20. I'm a quarter of the way through, but I guess they do get harder as you go.
No worries. Infinite Lives takes you far in this world, so let's keep going.
Great.
All right, Codemaster, the one fact I find fascinating is the fact that any vector field can be made as the sum of curl only and a divergence only vector field.
Yeah.
Can you make that non-technical?
Yeah, so this is called the Helmholtz-Hodge decomposition. So it's true about any vector field with sufficient properties about how smooth this velocity field is and stuff like this. I think you need a few conditions like this. And so yeah, you can have there's 2 kinds of velocity fields that the comment made, and one is about that it's curl free. So I talked about the vorticity. So if you have no vorticity, right, so you have no local rotation, we call that thing curl free. And then you can have a notion of divergence free, which is allowed to have curl. And so divergence is kind of, if it's divergence free, then it means that if some fluid, I'm coming back to the fluid side here, but if fluid comes in, then the same amount of fluid's basically got to come out. And so that would be what's called a divergence free velocity field if it has that property. So if you imagine a velocity field that kind of keeps on clustering, you have kind of some point that's not a singularity, but you have all the vectors pointing in towards it, all the velocity vectors pointing in towards it. That would not be divergence free. And so there's this famous result that says you can write any velocity field as the sum of something that is divergence free, so has this property where the
time.
This little ghost comes in. Well, they all get fast, and this little ghost comes and kind of chases you around.
Time starts to matter.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fun. I got several to catch up on here. So
this Helmholtz-Hodge decomposition says you can write this as some of these 2, and this actually is used in a lot of numerical methods that people use for solving PDEs. There's a particular kind of class of methods that people use that absolutely takes advantage of this. So you can write down what it means to be divergence free and what it means to be curl free, and then so you can write down your solution to some of these 2 things. And then and then you get different equations that you solve for the divergence-free component, and a different equation you solve for the curl-free component. And so that's a way to be able to. That's one of many ways that people solve
we got fire
equations.
Just want to point out we got fire.
Yeah.
We were talking about fluids.
Right, we got fire. So the fire in this game is
it slows you down.
It slows you down, but it is deadly for the bug or for the villains here, whatever you want to call them, right? So if they hit it, they die. And if I hit it, I just have trouble walking.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We keep the dynamics flowing.
I forgot it was fire because the graphics just it just resembles fire so much that I didn't notice.
You have to imagine fire. All right, Brian, we should do a prediction. Which one do you want to do?
We can just start right at the beginning. That's fine.
All right, this one?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw up a prediction. Those of you not familiar with the stream, predictions, well, Twitch in general, predictions are you give options and the people can vote on them. Typically, it's related to gameplay and things like that. Will Brian beat this level, so on and so forth? The answer is yes, he has infinite lives. But on our stream, we do science questions. So my guests come up with several predictions, and we start those predictions. And so I'm going to pop up a prediction right now. You can click the button at the top of your chat. You can vote on which answer you think is correct. You're going to have 2 minutes to put the answer. Note you are on Ask Ask a Scientist Gaming honor policy. You can't look it up. You can't do Chat GPT. You got to do it based on what you know of Bryan or the expertise in general. Oh, was that a star?
I think it was. I think it freezes everybody, but I already captured everybody,
I
so
see.
it didn't really.
All right, I'm going to put the prediction up right now. Start prediction. The question is: prescribed fires only reduce risk of wildfires. Is there anything you want to expand on this one?
Well, maybe we should just say what a prescribed fire is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know what. Maybe
So they have
it is,
2 minutes,
but not
though.
necessarily. Yeah. So a prescribed fire is a fire that is intentionally set.
Yeah, strategic fire.
Yeah, that's right. And there is, it does reduce the risk of wildfires. And so the question is, are there other benefits of using prescribed fire?
Is it just to reduce wildfire risk, or are there other things that are favorable for doing prescribed fires or strategic fires, planned fires, as it may be? So put your prediction in there now. If you're not following us, click the follow button. 1, it helps with our visibility and viewership and all sorts of things. 2, you'll get notifications about future streams every time we go live, and it's only every 2 or 3 weeks we go live. You'll get a notification. But also, you get internet points that you can bet on these science-based questions. Note, these internet points are absolutely useless outside of the stream, but you can request a factoid, you can make us take a drink, you can unlock emotes. So, totally worth it clicking that follow button. But yeah, you guys have about 1 minute. Are prescribed fires only good for reducing wildfire risk? They do reduce wildfire risk, which is why people do them, but is that the only reason to do them? That's the question. True or false? Are you good on beer, or you need another?
I think I'm good for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is Bubble Bobble everything you hoped it would be?
Yeah.
It's one of those classics. Somebody had a comment what the names of them. The Bubble Bobble dragons are called Bub and Bob.
That makes sense. Yeah. Which one I am, but
We're going to say Bub. I don't know the lore.
the other one is blue. I know that's the only difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, we got some logistics modeling questions, which we'll catch up on after the prediction. 5 seconds you guys have. Oof, overwhelmingly leaning towards false. Bryan, what is the answer?
It's certainly false.
I mean,
I think the question was kind of phrased in such a way that...
you made it a true-false.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of one of these true-false questions that you couldn't... Yeah, but, the follow-up question would be, what are the other benefits of prescribed fire? But the venue doesn't really kind of amend itself nicely to for that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So actually, there's a lot of ecosystems and forests and stuff like this that are actually fire dependent, and so they actually would not survive if we didn't if we didn't put prescribed fire on the ground. And so one thing to bear in mind here is that long before humans showed up in this part of the world and many parts of the world, and even before Europeans came here. The indigenous people that were here before us, they used fire all the time. And even before they were here, right, lightning would strike and it would light the forest on fire, and there was no no one to jump out of a plane to put it out or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It would burn until it ran out of fuel or until it rained, kind of thing, and somehow the fire survived and they came back. And so the longleaf pine forests, which are kind of very native to this part of the world where we are here, is actually a fire-dependent ecosystem. And so if you did not burn it, it would not look the way it looks now after not very long. So actually, a lot of the fire, a lot of the forests that you see around here, these pine forests are actually they're actually burned on about a 3 to 4 year schedule. And even after you burn them, it looks like what maybe you would expect. It looks like so I should point out a few things. So one thing is, when we do a prescribed fire in a pine forest, the goal is not to burn the pine trees. So the pine trees survive, right? So the fire does not get into the crown. If it gets into the crown, then again, you've done something wrong. And so so what we're burning when we do a prescribed fire out here is we're burning the grasses that are on the ground. You're burning these kind of invasive species that develop, these kind of different shrubs or hardwoods that develop on the ground. And I'm just pausing for a minute so I can
no worries.
stop talking and not.
You're a third of the way there, by the way.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So it is a fire dependent ecosystem that we have a lot here in the southeast. There are also certain kinds of organisms that require fire. Quail is a good example of one. They, to be able to do the nesting that they do, if the ground becomes overgrown, the quail can suddenly not survive in these in these forests, and so prescribed fire is absolutely needed to maintain the quail population. There's a particular woodpecker that is was close to endangered or potentially even extinct, called this red-cockaded woodpecker. It's been reintroduced here in the southeast by there's lots of stuff that people had to do, but people have certainly had to use a lot of careful fire planning to be able to create the correct ecosystem for these birds as well. So this is kind of more of the ecological type benefits, kind of getting rid of the invasive species that you don't want, promoting kind of the diversity for the species that you do want. But the other benefit that people use for prescribed fire, and this is actually part of the reason that we are supported by the Department of Defense, is that actually the military manages a lot of the land that they have using fire. And so I can't remember what the number is, but if you look up the amount of land that's actually owned by the military, it is a very, very big number. And this land needs to be it needs to be kept at a status where they can use it for training exercises or these types of things. And so they obviously can't let it just kind of grow like crazy. And there's just too much of it to be able to do it mechanically. They can't go in there with backhoes and bulldozers and just plow it all down. And so fire is absolutely a tool that the military uses to be able to manage the large amount of land that they own here in the country.
Fair. All right. OpenSet has a follow-up. One of the benefits is job creator for people that conduct prescribed fires.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah,
There's literally dozens of them.
Yeah, that's right.
And OpenSet is also upset. My doctor has never prescribed me fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there's actually.
Well, you should try medical marijuana then. It's close.
It's almost embarrassing how long it took me to realize this, but there was a set of prescribed fires that they did for. So the other benefit is then scientists like me can get out there and take measurements and stuff like this and use it to better understand fires and plumes and this kind of stuff. But there was a set of fires that was done before I got into the area of research. What they called RX Cadre. And Cadre is an acronym, and RX I could not figure out forever until I realized that RX is the acronym for prescription. It was kind of like a meathead moment where it's like, why did I not figure that out, a long time ago? But
Contra, your use of lit emotes is perfect. Thank you very much for that. All right.
So what's your
lit emotes?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fire. I don't know what that's from. That's pretty amazing.
So someone else, that's you or someone else put
that's somebody else. That's Contra. Man, this level is non-trivial.
Yeah. I think I got it. There we go. When they get stuck in these little cubbies.
We got Fire Emote Night. OpenSet. I don't know who that is, but thank you, OpenSet. Thank you as always for joining us.
Is that a screenshot of me, maybe?
I think it's someone else, but that's amazing. All right, we got to catch up on some questions. We're getting into the technical details of modeling systems. So, Gold Kayubi wants to know, do you take into account the material on fire? How specified is it, thickness and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the different models look at the stuff at a different level, of course, and so this thesis that I was at today, actually, it was looking at the effects of exactly this, the fuel type, and so one thing or one kind of number that people use to kind of classify fuels is what's called the surface to volume ratio. And so this is looking at, you imagine kind of a small parcel of fuel that's, just going to pause it here for a second, that's going to be on fire, and you look at its surface area, and then you look at its volume, and then you look at the ratio of these two numbers. And so, let's make sure I get this right. So if you have a very large, let's do it this way. So if you imagine you have a really fine fuel, like grass, right, like a blade of grass, or like wiregrass, then you have a much larger surface area, or the surface area will be big relative to the volume, right? So there's units attached to the surface area to volume ratio. So the surface area to volume ratio will be large. But if you have something like a branch or a log or something like that, that'll be very small. And so what people have done is they have, or what models do, is they've come up with where this surface area, or how the fire behavior is affected by this surface to area volume ratio. And so this is one number that we can put into models for understanding fire spread. The other one that's and so there's lots of them, but another one that's quite important is the moisture content. And so people are coming up with models for how the moisture of fuels behaves, and when they're in the proximity of fire, how how that moisture content kind of depletes, and the seasonal effects and the diurnal effects, the daily effects, and this kind of stuff as well. And then of course how that affects the burn rate and the rate of spread again, and what the plume will look like, and all this kind of stuff.
All right. Keep diving
in.
Open
set. I can get these guys.
I've heard of spherical cows in physics class, but what I'm hearing is we need spherical trees too.
Yeah,
surface area volume ratio deals. I mean, there's always an assumption and approximation.
Yeah. So is this the spherical cows? Is this? I feel, well, I know the joke.
Yeah.
Right? Is this but for me, it's chickens.
It's spherical chickens.
Yeah. So
it's the same idea, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You need a physicist to solve a problem.
That's right. Yeah. So the farmer gets the physicist to help him because his chickens aren't laying eggs. And he comes up with a solution with good news and bad news. And good news is you solve the problem. The bad news is it only works for spherical chickens in a vacuum. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it's the same joke. Yeah. So we do the same thing in fire, and actually we do similar things in many many types of we make all sorts of kind of idealizations like this all the time.
We have to.
Yes,
can't solve exact anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Nerd with a Doodle follow-up fun fact: hawks have learned to start their own with flaming pine cones or embers for hunting.
I've heard of this too. Actually,
that's terrifying.
I'm trying to remember what the application or what the reason was that they wanted to do it. There was it was a bird, and it was at the Jones Center up in kind of South Georgia, and there was there was a discussion about a particular kind of bird that would that wanted fire or something like that in its environment. So it would go and find fire, pick up a twig that was on fire, and drop it where it wanted the fire to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know how true it was. I think I believe it maybe a little bit less in the fire worlds, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a true thing, that there are certain animals that are fire dependent, so they've learned to go get themselves something that's on fire and light their home on fire, basically. Right.
Open set. The Hawks heard of this Nashville hot chicken trend and got the concept wrong. Misunderstood the instruction.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh man, when the animals fight back, these birds will be terrifying. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, Contra.
Yep.
Oof, this one's brutal.
Well, so this one I think you just need to basically take advantage of the fire here. Yeah, these red things are the fire. With the infinite lives, it's kind of easy, because I can just do this, and if I die, it doesn't matter. It's just going to start killing them.
Just burn them.
Yeah, that's right. We're having like a jumping guy barbecue here kind of thing.
All right, we should do another prediction.
Sure.
Let's
maybe I'll pick one. Let's try to pick one that's a little less.
This one is a follow-up on our tornado one, kind of.
Yeah.
Storm related.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can talk about that one. We'll see what happens.
All right. We got some other questions to follow up on, but we're going to put another prediction up there because we have a bunch of these and we got to get through them in the night, and it's 9:08, so time's flying. We're going to get as many as we can in. Brian has to beat another, what do you have, 51 levels?
Yeah.
No, 61 levels.
61,
sorry.
Yeah.
And we can put on God mode at any point if you want to.
So what is? Oh, so I thought I was in God. Oh, God mode's the invisibility. I just have the infinite lives.
Yep, you can be invincible where you don't take damage if you so choose. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're putting up another prediction. So get your internet points ready. Follow us if you're not following. Fire plumes can generate lightning storms. And so we talked earlier about fire tornadoes. And that's one of those things that sounds too ridiculous to be I can't believe it's not a Hollywood movie, but fire tornadoes are real. But the question is, can fire plumes generate lightning storms? Because this is another one that it's like maybe I could imagine that being true, but also that sounds ridiculous. So I look forward to hearing the answer on this one. Question is, can fire plumes generate lightning storms? Is that a true or false answer? All right, so you guys have about a minute and a half in that. In the meantime, Codemaster had a question. Does your work consist more of incompressible or compressible fluids?
Yeah, so
you don't do actual fluids, right?
What's that, sorry?
Your fluid models are force models, right?
That's especially on the fire side. And so those would absolutely be compressible, right? Especially when I do 2D type stuff. But my work on the other applications that I talked about, the erosion and the biomembranes, those are absolutely incompressible fluids. So yes, I have
a little of both.
So there's actually kind of and I'm sure this has come up in with other people, but there's other people that have sat in my chair. But there's this idea of the Reynolds number of your flow. And so the Reynolds number is a dimensionless number that kind of tells you what's important and what's not. And so if you have, if inertia is really important, then you would call that a large Reynolds number flow. And so these show up in applications like if you have exploding supernova, or if you have kind of, fire environments, or, where things are moving really fast and stuff like this. And then the other extreme is the low Reynolds number flow, or even zero Reynolds number flow, which is the other limit, and those show up in my other two projects, so the erosion stuff and the and the biomembranes. And so actually, I work at very high Reynolds number and very low Reynolds number, but nothing in the middle. And so there's certain assumptions we can make if we're very high or very low, and I absolutely kind of take advantage of those in my work. Yeah,
so the answer is yes. Compressible and incompressible.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Brian, what's the answer? Fire plumes can generate lightning storms, true or false?
Yeah, so that was actually also true.
100% of people said true.
Yeah, I figured that. I figured it'd be like the last one, but I didn't want to kind of, hint at that. So yeah, this is what's called the pyrocumulus cloud. And again, it usually requires a very intense fire. But the plume can, develop and condense and turn into a cloud, and it can have, static electricity in it basically, and so after this plume kind of, moves downwind a little bit, it can create a fire. I mean, there I am. This can create a spot fire, or a new fire source. I shouldn't say spot fire yet, but a new fire kind of much farther down from where the actual fire started. Or where the fire actively is. So these are kind of, when you think of kind of lots of fluid type applications, or just applications in general, you think of kind of very local effects. So what's happening nearby you is what affects, or what's going to happen to you is affected by what's going on nearby you. And this is how, a lot of fire spreads, right? So fire, if a little piece of wood's on fire, it's going to light its neighboring wood on fire, or something, or pine straw, or whatever. But there's also these non-local effects. And so these are different ways that fire can kind of, skip to, much farther away from where the fire source is. And pyrocumulus clouds is one of them. And another very scary one. I guess fire tornadoes in some sense would be one as well, right? Because the fire tornado can originate somewhere, and then it can, travel really fast to a new location and start, creating new fires at that location. So yeah, that's so yes, the answer is absolutely true, and again, there are kind of lots of cases of when this happened. The most recent one that I can think of is actually was close to where I did my PhD, actually in Lytton, BC. It was I think that was the source of it, but of the pyrocumulus. But then it was a sufficiently large fire that it created. A pyrocumulus cloud that lit fires that were 100 miles away, kind of thing, from where the pyrocumulus cloud was formed. So if I get these guys with the lightning, nope. I just realized there's another parallel there, right?
All right, so we learned about fire tornadoes. We learned about fire lightning. Fire's terrifying. We're writing movie script in real time here, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, okay, so we got the answer for that one. You're playing. Do you want God mode?
I think I can. Well, we'll see. This is the first time I'm getting this kind of crazy ghost. But I think once I kind of get hit by him, then it goes back to
Then
normal.
it goes back up.
Yeah, so I can just purposely, yeah.
No, that works.
Yeah, but I think I gotta use what? It's so
All
tough
right.
to get down there and get them, so I want to use one of these lightning things to get them.
So one of my favorite questions I like to ask, and I honestly don't care if the audience cares or not, but I do think this is a fan favorite. What movie or TV show gets your discipline or expertise right? Like, what movie have you watched that has done fluid dynamics wrong? What has done it right? What are you disgusted by? What were you like, holy crap, they did their homework?
Yeah, I struggled to think of one that I liked actually.
All right.
Well, okay, so
Backdraft, sir.
yeah, so Backdraft is not accurate at all. And I didn't think so much on the fire side. I thought more on just the mathematics side in general, because that's what my PhD's in. And so there was a TV show that came out maybe about 20 years ago called Numbers.
Yep.
And it was about an FBI agent who struggles to solve some crimes because it's
Nice
it's not
shot.
to solve. But his brother just happens to be a mathematician, and anytime this kind of guy runs into an issue, he would just talk to his brother, and his brother would come up with some mathematical model, and in a matter of 20 minutes or half an hour, he'd have a model that could tell him exactly what the how to solve this crime or solve this problem or whatever.
And if I'm remembering, he'd like close his eyes and they'd show numbers on the
Yeah,
screen.
that's right. He's just
Yeah.
having, the negative consequences in his mind.
Yes.
And I think I maybe watched this a little. When it first came out, I remember it's kind of a big deal. I remember them there was an article of it in the lunchroom out where I was doing my master's at the time, and people were like math comes to life and math and popular media and stuff like that. So I started watching it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there was this one episode that just really kind of irked me the wrong way. And then that's when I was kind of like, this show is ridiculous. I never watched it since. I remember the scene. So there was the scene was there was a plane crash of a commercial plane or whatever. And so they're in this mountainous region or whatever, and they're looking for the black box, right? This orange suitcase or whatever. And they got all these, I can't remember what this agency's called, but they got all these guys up here and they're all looking around for it. There's like 50 of them. They're all wandering around looking for it and they can't find it. So they call the FBI guy's brother.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he figures out the trajectory that the plane came into the ground and the speed and blah, blah, blah. And he does a calculation in his mind, like you said. And then he walks 50 feet over, and then there he's just out in the open. And I'm like, I don't know if this is more a testament to, how good a mathematician he is or how awful those other guys are. Looking for a bright orange box laying in the middle of the open ground. And so that one kind of really, that one really bugged me. And so I never watched it again after that.
I never watched that. I remember the lead actor in that. He was the Addams Family 2 movie. He was the love interest of Wednesday. Right?
Oh, yeah, so I haven't seen that.
Oh,
that
man.
movie. Yeah.
Numbers. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Show.
So is it the mathematician or the...
that
so
guy.
the curly guy's the mathematician.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the mathematician.
Yeah, that's right. And then the guy that played the father, he's a famous guy. Alan Epps or
Judd Hirsch. Yeah.
Judd Hirsch is his name. Yeah, that's right.
David Krumholtz was the main actor. That's amazing.
He was he was the mathematician.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has he been in anything since? Anything significant?
Numbers show. Let's find out.
I don't think it made it many seasons. Numbers.
They were trying to make math sexy. Was non-trivial endeavor.
Yeah, but the other kind of maybe the more
it ran from 2005 to 2010.
Okay,
so it got 5
years.
seasons.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
He was in Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen. I
haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. But he was in Oppenheimer. There we go. Just Call. Thank you for joining.
Okay.
Thank you for the comment. Man, there's not a lot that make math sexy, but very rarely do nerds get to be the heroes.
Yeah,
so I gotta at least give them props on that, right?
Yeah, so that kind of leads into the next thing that I was thinking about. This actually is when you think of the movies about mathematicians, it's like Good Will Hunting and Beautiful Mind and stuff like that. And all of them, the mathematicians are either completely crazy, or they have some serious kind of they're like. Like Good Will Hunting was like a criminal kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
they're broken in some way.
You get a lot of this stuff. And actually, when I was in Boise, I actually went to a play when I was there, which is actually, it was a movie I saw a long time ago. I'm trying to blank on what it's called now. But it's about a guy that's a mathematician, and he's died, and it's his daughter's memories of her. But he had gone absolutely crazy. I think he had severe schizophrenia or something like that, and you know, it's about the daughter struggling to deal with the fact that she might have it and all this kind of stuff. And it's a very nice play, but again, it's about a crazy mathematician, and so it seems like there's all these
Cliche.
all these kind of blockbusters about mathematicians, like A Beautiful Mind, like you said, or Good Will Hunting. They're always
The one I will defend is Moneyball. Have you seen that?
no, it's
I mean, that's like economics but it's
Right.
number theories, right? In terms of baseball and how the athletics guy.
that's the one with Brad Pitt's in it,
Yeah,
isn't he?
Brad
Okay.
Pitt and Jonah Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's one of the heroes in that. I like it because they do make the numbers the hero in that one. I really
Okay.
appreciate it. The other one I really liked was The Big Short. Have you seen that?
That one I've seen. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
don't think I made it the whole way through. But that one,
No worries.
I'm really bad at kind of putting movies on, you know, half an hour before bedtime, and then
Yeah.
and then the movie's over, and I'm waking up, and the end credits are rolling.
That's how it goes. The one I was going to bring up with you for fluid dynamics, a movie that gets it both right and wrong,
Yeah.
is Independence Day. So I don't know if you've ever seen Independence Day.
Yeah, I
like,
have.
back
I'm
in the
trying to
day.
think of what's the fluid equation, or what's the fluid kind of.
So it's a really fun one, actually. So you know when the alien ship blows up one of the cities, I don't remember which one it is, and there's the fire cloud coming out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The way they did that was a practical effect.
Okay.
But they didn't do it in a normal explosion. What they did is they made the model of the city and they put it vertical, and they add the accelerant, and so the fire was accelerating this way. So it looked
okay.
like it was propagating through the street.
I see.
And so they used the fire
Everything was
dynamics.
rotated 90 degrees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you watch that scene, like it's right, but it's going the wrong
Right,
direction
right.
because the dynamics aren't right. So I appreciated that when I learned it. Back when they
Okay.
did practical effects.
Yeah, I was going to say that was before, you know, computers aren't where they were now, of course. So you were forced to do, you were making models of everything. You know, real models. You know, like Titanic was like this too, right? They
Yeah.
scaled up replicas, or scaled down replicas, I mean, of the ship
actual-
and stuff like this. Yeah.
Oh, this is the halfway point.
Okay. These are the guys that are like, it's these guys here that are on this level I can't pass. So if we make it there,
We got this.
then I'll need this one. I'll probably need the God cheat, or whatever you call it.
The invincibility mode?
Yeah, that's right. I think I'm still okay for a little bit now, but
I love that mathematicians are portrayed as either psycho or some sort of good.
right.
Well, that's
It's
scientists
some kind of
in
mental
general,
condition.
right?
So, yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the
that's-
Frankenstein, sometimes nerd wins, but that's awesome. All right, sorry, we'll catch up on a few. Gohaku says or asks, what role does fluid dynamics play in fuel efficient vehicles?
Fuel efficient. Okay.
That's because there's two fluid dynamics problems. There's the flow of the liquid and then also the fire.
That's right. So there are people that do. Well, so there's a couple things here. One is the equations that govern things going on inside of the fuel cell. Those are fluid type equations, and so I certainly don't work on that myself, but I know of people that have made important contributions to that problem. And so that's one area that comes up. The other areas, of course, which isn't exclusive to electric vehicles, is aerodynamics, right? And so you want to design the vehicle in such a way to minimize drag in order to increase efficiency, so that you're burning less fuel if you're talking about a gas-powered vehicle, or so that you can get as many miles as possible on your battery charge if you have an EV.
So speaking of which, have you been to the wind tunnel over in engineering? The mechanical engineering?
Yeah. So there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
We did an experiment in one of them, actually.
Oh, wow.
Kind of the lowest speed one that they have. They have those kind of high Mach speed ones.
Yeah.
Those ones are not very. Again, with fire, if you had a fire at the wind speeds of you're absolutely doing something wrong.
That's not a natural fire.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not on Earth.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's if you're doing the astrophysics type applications.
Yeah, there's zero atmospheric resistance.
They frown on us for lighting or for trying to replicate exploding supernovae in the lab.
Yeah.
So
You do the slow one.
Yeah, so there was a slow one, and
Yeah.
so we were interested in looking at the effect that pine straw fuel, which is
have a lot of-
pretty common around here, and that's what we burn in the pine forest prescribed fires. We're interested in understanding the flow into and out of this pine straw, because that's responsible for a lot of how the fire behaves as it moves through the pine straw. This is what brings in fresh oxygen. It's what moves the fire from down this fuel bed. And so we're interested in understanding that. So actually, my one student he has so he does work on 3D printing actually, and so he 3D printed something called a gyroid, which is just a kind of a complicated 3D type structure, but it roughly resembles pine straw. And so he printed a whole bunch of sheets of these, and we put it inside of a wind tunnel, and measured the velocity in the inside of this wind tunnel. And
there's a link for a gyroid. I would have not guessed that models.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's kind of what it looked like. So there's different, there's tuning parameters that control if it looks like the cylinders or those holes or stuff like that.
A Gaussian curvature at each point.
Yeah, so
wow,
it's like a differential geometry type thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it has some kind of resemblance to pine straw. Fuel beds, yeah.
Then you put it in the wind tunnel.
We put it in the wind tunnel, and then so we put it in 2 wind tunnels. One was like a little homemade wind tunnel we have in GFDI, the Geophysical Fluid Dynamic Institute, and that we just measured at with a hot wire anemometer, which just measures the velocity at a particular location. You just stick it in there. And so we had some undergrads that came over, and they sat at this wind tunnel for like 6 hours, kind of thing, just holding the anemometer and writing down what the velocity.
So you just do like single point measurements.
And we did it at 2 points and I think 2 or 3 heights, or no, about 10 heights or something like that. So we could look at I'd say the shear at different heights, or the shear because we had different heights. And so we did that, and then we wanted to kind of get a more complete picture. And so for that, we wanted to use a method that's common in fluid dynamics for visualizing flow, known as particle image velocimetry, PIV. And so this is a way that that just gets rid of all of them. That's convenient.
All right, we'll take that.
I'll take that.
Made it easy.
Have a popsicle and be on my way. So PIV is this particle image. This is the one I can't pass.
Oh, this is it. This haunted your nightmares.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to do the bubble bump all the way up there.
You got to somehow get up there, but see, they keep dropping those little missiles, kind of.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you even get in there to kind of, make it up there fast enough? Like you said, I can make it part way, but then inevitably
so you have to make it in the middle.
Yeah, and but I don't know how to kind of control your, because the bubbles need to kind of, there's no wall there, so there's nothing. Maybe you just kind of fill up the middle with bubbles. Maybe you fill up the whole room with bubbles, and then.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
all right. You want God mode, or you want to keep trying?
Yeah, God mode, and then because I want to see what the next level is.
Bryan is going to set some personal bets tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We don't care if we cheat. We're allowed to do that. All right, you're God mode, so you should be invincible.
Yes,
maybe. I don't know if it's invincible versus these.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. You legit got up there. Look at that.
I guess I don't need to worry about getting in there. All right. You should turn God mode off now that I've kind of,
all right, turn it off.
Have some burgers and turn it off, and I'll let you know if I need it back again. Yeah.
Right, sounds good. I'll give you infinite time just to give you a...
Oh, so that ghost guy doesn't come back?
Yeah, so you can talk and
skeleton guy
and hang out. So,
yeah.
Congratulations, GG. You made a personal best. Level 58. 57 was the arch nemesis of Bryan as he was younger.
Yeah. So this PIV, the idea is that you fill the room with particles, which for over in the engineering lab you can actually they just do it, I think, with just fog, and then you. And then you turn all the lights off, and then you have a laser that's actually shining.
Oh, it's scattering. That's cool.
That's right. And
wow.
So you're looking at where you're seeing where these kind of particles in the fog are.
Yeah.
At every time the camera's taking a picture, and then you do some kind of statistical magic in the middle that I don't understand. This kind of cross correlation business.
Yeah.
And from that you get velocity fields.
You map the space. Yeah.
And so we
cool.
have these velocity fields of the flow in and around this gyroid pine straw fuel bed, and but we haven't found the time or the I feel like it's a really good kind of for a strong undergrad student. It would be a really cool project.
It's fun model.
And so we haven't found that person yet. So if they're out there, you should absolutely reach out to me about that.
Wow, Space Invaders. Look at this. In-game wind tunnel.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
a couple follow-ups.
The PIV type stuff, yeah.
Nerd with the Doodle says, after July, we'll see if the Twisters movie accurately depicts fire tornadoes.
I think that one is...
Do you see the original Twisters?
Yes, but is there a new one coming out?
Yeah, so the next one's called Twisters.
Okay.
It's just a follow-up, and there is fire tornadoes, and I think
is it going to be Holly Hunt. What's her name again?
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt,
No,
yeah.
I don't think anyone's back. It was who was
Bill
it?
Paxton
Bill
passed
Paxton.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Helen Hunt were the main.
That's
And
right.
Carrie Ools was the bad guy. Guy from Princess Bride.
Right. Yeah.
He also died in that movie. So, oh man.
Doesn't make sense to have, when you gotta be a really bad guy if you're the bad guy in a movie about twisters. You think the twister would be the bad guy here, but
Bill Paxton. Yeah, there
that's
we
right.
go.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, he's passed away.
Man, we'll see if the new Twisters movie, because I think I've seen the trailer. I don't remember, but I
Okay.
think there is fire tornadoes. in
Okay,
it, so
okay.
That might have biased your.
Oh yeah. I wonder if they're gonna have, if someone from the movie's watching, maybe they're gonna put in a pyrocumulus cloud now too. Clouds and tornadoes everywhere. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Them twisters better be twisting. Yeah. I hope
right.
there's a titular line in there. Oh, we got twisters. Man, we got twisters in Tallahassee. That's crazy.
That's right.
I've been
Yeah,
here a
that is
decade.
crazy.
That's the first tornado that's hit inside Tallahassee.
Yeah, we get lots of tornado warnings.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like there's been one on the south side too. I thought there was one that kind of went somewhere close to
Oh
the
yeah,
airport.
the airport one. Yeah.
Because I think it destroyed some kind of private planes, or people that had little 4 and 6 seater planes or something like that.
Yeah.
That, lost their planes.
Stealthy, first time chat. Thank you for joining us. Click the follow button if you're not following. Get notifications about future streams. Was talking about high test peroxide fire tornadoes at work today.
No.
High test
I don't know what
peroxide
that is.
fire tornadoes? What is a high test peroxide fire tornado? Peroxide is a
Yeah, that's more
chemical.
your area. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I want to know. Is this something people make? Peroxide? That's
Roblox
has a peroxide, something or other. What is a peroxide? Like 90% peroxide? As in it like ionizes the gas and the fuel? I am intrigued. Elephant toothpaste for forest fires? That is an interesting link.
Elephant. Wow.
Elephant
I did more
toothpaste.
time on Google.
Yeah.
This is like a link
Oh,
between...
it's a rocket propellant. Okay, it's the peroxide rocket propellant.
I see.
I get you. Oh, fire tornadoes out of that. Yeah. So that's like an induced airflow thing. That's pretty fun. Stealthy, welcome to the stream. Opening strong with high test peroxide fire tornadoes. Oh man, speaking of which, let's do another factoid because it's 9:30. It's been an hour and a half. Time is
Okay.
flying. What is this? Level?
I think I got maybe I got enough points or
Oh
something
no.
like that.
Not a factoid. I'll do a prediction.
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
do-
Okay.
I'm going to do this Embers one for the
Okay.
Australian fun.
Yeah, that one's
I
kinda
think
fun.
that's a fire
Yeah.
one. All right, if you guys aren't following, click the follow button, get your standard internet units. We're going to put up a prediction right now. It's going to be a science question that you guys can answer, and you can gamble as many internet points as you want. In our stream, they're called standard internet units, because why the hell not? Make up whatever number we want for them, or any unit we want.
Just like the U.S. Treasury.
Exactly. Far more valuable on our stream, though, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is science-based questions and answers. This is for pride and pride alone. Well, plus you can make us drink, which we'll be happy to do. But here's the question. Embers in the 2009 Australian bushfires can travel less than 1 kilometer or greater than 1 kilometer. So
It's going to
embers...
be can travel. They did travel.
They did travel.
Yeah.
Embers did travel greater than 1 kilometer or less than 1 kilometer. And so for those of you not familiar, ember is where you have something that's actually on fire, some burning piece of whatever that's still ignited that's actually flying through the air. You've seen these from fireplaces. The question is, how far can they fly, or how far did they fly in the 2009 Australian brush fires? Was it less than 1 kilometer or greater than 1 kilometer? That's what is that in American units? It's 0.7 something miles.
Yeah, there's
What is the conversion? I don't know.
1.6, right? But that's going. There's 1 kilometer. 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers.
So
Yes.
1 kilometer is 0.6 miles. So if anyone wants a metric,
Yeah,
comparative
that's right.
metric in freedom units, I'm sorry.
There's so many Canadians, so much Canadian coming out.
Oh
here today.
man!
Yeah.
So I did track and field, so it was all meters.
Okay,
right? So,
yeah.
But what's funny is Canadian sports do feet and inches and pounds for heights and weights.
Yeah, and it's actually talking to kind of, my nieces and stuff, or my niece that's kind of in that's a generation younger than me, obviously. I think she knows things like her height in centimeters and stuff like that. But for me, there are certain things that were just always never done in metric. And one was your body weight, and one was your height.
Yeah.
And so I know how many feet I am, I know how many pounds I am, but I have no idea how many kilos I am.
I gotta assume that's like sports related, right? Or
it might be, yeah.
I don't know. This is a question from OpenSet. Does it count if a hawk flies at more than 1 kilometer?
No, this is a hawk. This is just purely with the wind.
Hawk related. How far do the embers go? Greater than 1 kilometer or less than 1 kilometer? That's a long distance for an ember to go, because it has to stay ignited that entire time.
That's right.
So it needs enough fuel, needs a distance.
And there's a lot of turbulence going on up there. So it needs, it can go away from its source, but then it can turn around and start coming back.
All right, Brian, what is the answer?
So that one is actually greater.
Greater than 1 kilometer.
So it went greater than 1 kilometer, and I think it even went greater than like 2 kilometers or something like that.
Several was the answer, right? That's crazy that they fire so far.
Yeah, that's right. So Australia has some particular problems with bushfires that are that we don't see out here in here in the U.S. as much. So there's a couple things to point to. So the bushfire, those are the ones that, if people remember, those are the ones that were kind of all over the news several years ago. But you got to remember that their bushfire season is in what's our winter. And so this was the fires that actually they had a kind of a crazy day on the day after Christmas, December 26th.
Jeez.
And then it was the one that you saw kind of where like thousands of kangaroos died, and it was an awful fire. Mm-hmm. And so there was so there were these bushfires here, but the kind of embers that they have in Australia, or some of the bad ones, they have some that are like ours, but they have different types of trees there than we have. And so different trees create different types of embers. And so one of these trees that's pretty common there is this eucalyptus tree, and it's got this what they call ribbon bark. And so it's this bark that kind of it grows up the tree, but then it kind of detaches on the top, say, and then it kind of just folds over. And so it kind of it kind of just looks like this kind of ribbon that's kind of peeling off the tree. Mm-hmm. But it's very, very flammable. And so it does a couple of things. One is it's kind of a classical, what people call a ladder fuel. So that's a way for fire to get from the ground, which is where fires quite often start, because you had an unattended fire or an unattended campfire, or someone flicked a cigarette out their window or whatever. And then if it gets to these ladder fuels, that's a mechanism for it to get from the ground, where the fires are usually not as intense, to the crown, the top, where that's when it gets a lot harder to fight these fires. Mm-hmm. And so there is so that's one thing that this ribbon can do, or this ribbon bark can do. But the other thing is it can actually detach from the tree and become an ember. And so it's this long kind of very thin, very kind of aerodynamic type, or it's very easy to keep it aloft, basically. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of floats around in the wind, almost like a plastic bag, almost, you can imagine, floating around in the wind. Yeah. But it's got so much fuel inside of it still. And so it can burn for a really long time. And so actually I was I was there recently on a sabbatical, and I met with a guy that does a lot of experiments about embers type stuff. And he talked about some of this ribbon bark they actually found tangled up in propellers on airplanes. So that's how high it can get. So these are just kind of recreational planes, but still that's high enough for they're fairly high. And so you can imagine a piece of ribbon bark getting up that high. It can spend a lot of time up there and easily travel a kilometer or more, or several kilometers.
Does it being on fire help with the buoyancy? Like, is it pseudo hot air balloon effect?
I think there is an effect on that as well, but that's I actually have a colleague in engineering that looks at these kind of problems about what the drag is depending on kind of how it's oriented inside the wind and stuff like this. But I think that does have an effect. But typically, I think of the embers just being, it's something detaches it from the fuel, mm-hmm. and then the hot plume locks it up in the air, it picks up the wind, down it goes, and then eventually gets out of the plume. There's not as much buoyancy, starts settling down. If it lands in fuel, then there's a chance it's going to light new fire. If it lands in a lake, then of course it doesn't matter so much. But
That's
So yeah,
brutal.
there's yet another. So we got experience, we
Fire
got
tornadoes,
pyrocumulonimbi, and we got
lightning
we got
fire,
embers.
and embers that can travel several kilometers on fire.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah. I really, now that I wrote these problems, I should have written, more positive ones. Like the first one, the benefits of fire.
That's true. We've gone downhill from there.
It's good for the quails. It's bad for us, good for quails.
Oh man, that's slightly terrifying, but that's fine. Embers can go more than 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. You got 32 more levels.
Okay.
You got this. Unless you want to move on to something else. We're grinding away. All right, open set. Do we get even hotter, perhaps, and get plasma tornadoes on stars?
Yeah, that I don't know. I have no idea.
Is that is
You should talk to your colleague David Collins about that. Yeah,
astrophysics.
That's right. So
I mean, solar flares. Presumably, there's some degree of fluid dynamics type modeling for those.
But we have a very strong astrophysics department here at FSU that I'm sure I don't even want to try to.
I mean, presumably the lightning storm in fire plumes, that is due to plasma generation, right? You make these electrostatic charge gradients, and then you have a lightning discharge. So I would argue that plasma is inside that fire, presumably, but
It's not a plasma like you get on a exploding supernova.
yeah, not quite the same as
not at that
tornadoes
scale.
on stars.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. Fire tornadoes. Based on a documentary called Twisters.
All right, let's see if I can get these guys without having to go down
Are
there.
you still enjoying Bobble?
I think so.
Dropping fire.
That's right. So there we go. Now I got a spot I can get in. If I can do this now. There we go.
All right. Oh, you briefly mentioned backdraft being terrible. Is it because of the fire that had a dinosaur-like sound, or was it the actual fire dynamics?
Yeah, I think it was very much the fire dynamics. And, it's a usual thing that, Hollywood is, they got to build a story about it kind of thing.
Drama.
So, yeah.
Because I remember it like the fire screaming as it came out or something.
That's
you remember
right,
that sound effect?
Yeah, they would still open
amazing.
the door, right? And out would come the backdraft, right?
Oh, Go Haku and Lori have the same critique. Does the music change at all? It is getting repetitive.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so. Why don't we switch games?
I mean,
I'm at 71.
no, let's God mode.
Okay,
Let's speed run this.
sure.
Invincibility, infinite lives.
Yeah, the issue is
I apologize to anyone that listened to this song over and over again.
it's not as loud
If
here
it's
as it
too
is
loud,
for
we
the-
can turn it down for you guys. If this is making your ears bleed, we'll gladly turn it down.
See if I can just quickly get down here.
God mode. There it is.
See, I think the biggest kind of thing is kind of this whole having to kind of, bounce around on all these, once you get in these ruts. Let's see, like this.
Yeah.
Or once you go down these, let's see here, I should be able to come up this right now. There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah. Should have done that before.
The answer, I think, is no, it doesn't change. And we're going to grind this for 100 levels.
Not only am I the first guy to pick Bobble, I'll be the first guy to finish it.
And open set, mathematician dropping some bombs on you while you do, and you can't pause anymore. You have to beat this.
Well, I just got this shoe, which actually makes me faster, which normally I don't like because it's harder to control, but with God mode,
It doesn't matter.
It's all good.
Speed run. All right, open set. Any chance I can get a quick proof or counterexample Navier-Stokes' existence and smoothness? My friend Clay says he will give me some cash for it.
Yeah.
Is this an impossible problem? Is this,
Well, so this is. I know who his buddy Clay is. So I don't know if this has come up with other people, but there's in the other people that have been on your panel. But there's a at the turn of the century, the Clay Institute decided that came up with kind of seven problems that they felt where they were kind of instrumental to advancing mathematics. And some of the more famous ones that people maybe have heard of is the Poincaré conjecture, which is the only one that's been proved by Perelman, which is a whole story on its own. And then there's the Riemann hypothesis, which has to do with the distribution of the prime numbers. But there's one that's for the applied mathematicians, and that's the existence of solutions to the Navier-Stokes equations. And so the question is, if you have kind of sufficiently smooth initial conditions and boundary conditions, does the and the geometry is not crazy, then does the solution of the Navier-Stokes equation always remain smooth, or could it blow up in finite time? So if you can prove this problem, then you've solved one of the Millennium problems, and in addition to kind of the fame of solving the Millennium problem, there's $1 million prize attached to it.
Yeah.
And so there's been $70 million sitting in an account somewhere since 2000. Perelman did not accept his, so there's still, I guess in theory there's still $7 million sitting there.
Hopefully they're getting interest on that.
Yeah. That's who his buddy Clay is the Clay Institute with proving about the existence solutions of the Navier-Stokes. So
that was in another movie, Gifted, starring Captain America. What is his name?
I think I know what you mean. I don't remember there being anything about Navier-Stokes in there.
Yeah, but there was a little girl that was a savant, right? But her mom had solved one of the 7 problems, but never published it, kind of thing. Spoilers, sorry, anyone go watch the movie Gifted. It's pretty entertaining, heartfelt family.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's one of those kind of movies, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if it had the Stokes equation in there particular.
The Navier-Stokes. But Stokes is easy. We can do Stokes. That's the linear one, right? Navier-Stokes, yeah.
Chris Evans, there we go. Thank you, Go Haku.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one. So the mom committed suicide. So again, depicted as crazy.
Yeah,
but the daughter was doing okay.
But I think she was, I can't remember if she was autistic or if she was, or just kind of really, I think she really struggled with kind of relationships and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the pressure from her mom is what they were implying.
Yeah.
Like she solved it and wasn't gonna submit it until the mom died. Spoilers again. I apologize. The movie is like 10 years old. Gifted? Is that what it's called? Gifted? I think that's what it was.
Gifted, yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. And the uncle is raising her. Or there's a feud between the uncle and someone else about who should raise her or something like that.
The uncle and the grandma.
And the grandma wants her to... The uncle wants her to just be a kid, because she is just a kid.
Yeah. It's 2017. Well, the number of savants that lose their mind makes sense. You should have some healthy type of upbringing, but
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But again, very few geniuses invent math from scratch. So, oh man.
Right. So the Navier-Stokes equation is actually there's kind of a there's a funny interview that came up quite a while ago that's worth finding if you can find it. I at least enjoyed it with Stephen Colbert before Letterman retired. So it was when he just had the Colbert Report still. Mm-hmm. And he interviews a famous mathematician who won the Fields Medal and all the named Terence Tao, a guy at UCLA, kind of one of these child prodigy type guys. Mm-hmm. And he's known for his work on prime numbers among other things. But Stephen Colbert says, what are you working on now? And he says, I'm working on fluid equations. I'm trying to learn if water can spontaneously combust. And Stephen Colbert is like, well, please keep me informed on that because all right. But he was talking about the solution blowing up, not the actual, not an explosion of water. So Colbert's like, parents, that'd be nice to know. Keep us updated if water can spontaneously combust.
Is combust the slang you use for that, or is it blow up?
Well, no, blow up. That's right.
Blow up. Okay.
Yeah, spontaneously blow up. Yeah. They say the solution blows up if you're.
I see.
Yeah, so
the slang.
For me, a lot of times my solutions blow up because because of something I put in. I gotta figure out how to get in here. It's a numerical issue.
I see. I see. That means you.
So the solution shouldn't blow up usually when in the kind of stuff I do, but there are kind of examples of problems where you can get what people call finite time blow up. So that means just the solution of the problem blows up in finite time. And the question is, does the Navier-Stokes equations do that, or does it not do that? Yeah. Are you looking up how to pass level 81?
No.
Because
so
I have no idea how to get into this.
Gohaku and Lori both said shotard. Or shotard? Shotard? Did that just say shotard?
I saw something about that. Shooter. Oh, shotard.
Open said, next we make water blow up. The fire tsunami.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that might help with the fire tornado that's coming after us. So,
what is shotard?
There's got to be like a secret way in here or something like that. I don't know where the...
How you're supposed to beat this?
Yeah. How do I get in here?
Does anyone know?
Anyone ever been to level 81? On Bobble? thought maybe there were, like, sometimes the wall is, it looks like it's there, but it's actually not there. So I thought maybe I'd, like, fall through here at some point. But kind of walking across the whole thing, there's nothing. That's just, like, a hole on the side. And there's none of those lightning bolts for me.
Oh yeah, the name is Showtard. That was level 80. There it is.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, we zoned out while discussing.
Talking and kind of trying to shoot whales and these little missile robot guys. But I have no idea how to pass this level.
Level 81. Give me a second, I'll find it.
Yeah.
So now we can just go to YouTube clips and figure out how to do this.
So I took care of the first two guys there, but then how do I get through the middle?
So they're going up.
Going up, I'm already at the top.
Jump on the bubble in the middle. Oh, do you go up through the center? Is that what?
That's what I thought, right? But I was...
Urban Dictionary has a result for Shotard. I'm not going to look up Shotard and what that means in Urban Dictionary.
Oh, maybe you just blow bubbles at the top and then come through the bottom. Oh, I see.
Oh, there it is.
So you gotta do kind of this kind of thing, and then I gotta... So I grab the shoe thing that makes you go really fast, and...
oh, and you haven't died yet.
It's hard to... Yeah, that's right. So I need to die now. Actually, I want to die now.
Oh. Should I kill you? Actually, you can't die anyway.
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing... Well, so if the God mode allows, I can ghost to come back, then I can... Oh, I almost... There we go. I'm in.
All right.
Nice.
Now we're good.
I have to get up here, though, now.
Urban Dictionary. It's a legitimate source. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, for what Shotard is?
Yeah.
Is it? I have no idea.
I'm not going to look up Urban Dictionary definition. I doubt it's related to Bubble Bobble, but...
my shoe thing is... like my speed is gone.
Yeah, Contra, those... You're right, it was timing. It was hard. Oh, man. It has to do with taking shots. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
We're drinking.
Yeah, we're having beer.
Cheers to that.
Where did I go? There I am.
Hopefully you guys have a drink in hand, hanging out on a Wednesday night. Semester's over. Summer has started. Summer classes have started for those of you still in college and or teaching college classes. So thank you for joining us on a Wednesday night. Hanging out, my guest today is Dr. Bryan Quaife, who's an expert in, a mathematician that does simulations of real materials, and in particular, interested in fluid dynamics and how you can use fluid dynamics to model things like erosion or fire propagation or all sorts of crazy things, depending on how you model the system. So if you guys have any questions, he's happy to answer them. Yeah. The game told you to take a drink. That's fair. Level 80 is the drinking level on
it's Shotard.
Yeah. At this point, if you're playing this long and you're listening to this song over and over again, yes, it is appropriate to drink at level 80. That level looked like a Japanese character. It might be. Somebody do a Google Translate for us.
Now we're at the kind of the level where it's like we got to finish it, but
open set. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say I'm worried there'll be a level that I just won't know how to pass.
Oh, that's fine. We got the internet. Back in the day, we would have been screwed on that.
That's level, right. Yeah.
Now we can look up YouTube videos. Open set. Love the little end of the semester break. Yeah, like that 1 week where there's nothing. Man, I don't know about you, but I went from like 6 meetings a day down to 1 meeting a day, and it's been glorious.
Yeah, and I think I have 1 meeting tomorrow, and that's almost on purpose, right?
Just
get stuff done, get caught up on kind of all the papers that have been
that's exactly right.
Fallen behind, and some of the codes that I've been needing to write. And
I have 4 papers in the works right now, and I'm just like switching between them and trading with students, and it's glorious because I'm in charge of the graduate admissions in chemistry, which ends up being a pretty exhausting job and very involved, and it's a lot of meeting and a lot of time.
These are the admissions. So these are the ones that are. So these are students that have already. You guys have already.
No, this is the recruiting process, so the application and recruiting process. And Lori's actually our graduate advisor, so Lori and I are between about, we'll say, November and April, our life is hell. And then it lightens up quite a bit. So, yeah. Open said, I'd been running a calc exam review session in the late nights. Now, peace and quiet. Well, kudos to you for doing review sessions. That's not mandatory, but you go above and beyond by all means.
We need more students that do that.
Yeah, so OpenSet's a professor, a mathematician, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Teaches math and calc and things like that. So, yeah, never go full shotard. I can't. Is it shotard? Shotard? How do we want to say that?
Shotard?
Shotard? I don't know. Are you sick of this game yet?
Is that what someone's asking?
No, I'm asking you.
I'm just enjoying talking science and just kind of,
Yeah, hang it up. Oh,
not even
man.
paying attention really. I'm just.
Oh man! All right. So one of our canned questions is directly relevant to things that you're interested in. What's your favorite equation?
Okay. So it's. I should pick something like the Navier-Stokes equations or something like that, or the Stokes equations that I use all the time. But this is really kind of beautiful mathematical equation that someone asked me the same question. Actually, someone that made jewelry, and so he made me a necklace where he etched the equation. Well, so the equation basically had to fit on a little pendant about yay big, and so he put. I guess it's Euler's equation. I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And so it's it's e to the I pi plus 1 equals 0. Mm-hmm. Is what the equation is. And so what's kind of cool about it is that it has kind of all these. I guess there's 5 kind of critical numbers in mathematics in this equation. There's e, which people don't know. I can describe that, and then pi is what people think of it.
Yep.
I is the square root of -1. Some people have maybe thought about people have either worked with that or they maybe heard about this thing. This is these imaginary or complex numbers, and then 1 and 0. Right? We all know what these are, and so it's this relationship between these numbers, this kind of combination of the numbers, where of these kind of 5 critical numbers, where when you join them together, you get you get this nice identity. And so, yeah, this e to the I pi plus 1 equals 0 is a really cool formula.
So I put a link in chat for you guys.
Was that right? Is it Euler's formula?
Euler's formula.
Yeah. So it's the particular case
form.
when
e I pi to the equals
that's
negative
right.
1.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. The one to the left.
Yeah.
So
that's known as Euler's identity. Apparently, when you write it that way, it's known as the identity. I don't know why that would be the case, but. Interestingly, this was the same answer that David Collins and Eugene DePrince had.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that was their favorite equation, just because it's so ubiquitous, it's so universally useful across the sciences. I love the fact...
It's a generalization, or it's a special case of the e to the pi x plus 1 equals 0 one there. It's
just,
you let x be pi, and it falls right out.
Yep.
And I actually, even in the course I teach in the fall, typically this numerical PDEs class, we use that, right? So that's why when you pull a pendulum back, that's why it oscillates back and forth. It's the cosines and sines that you see inside of there.
Yeah.
So it actually has even though it involves complex numbers, it has real applications. So that's why people sometimes get upset when you call complex numbers imaginary numbers, because they're actually just as useful as the real numbers.
So one of my favorite related factoids, I think David Collins said this, but Euler came up with so many equations and models and identities that they had to stop naming things after him. Okay. You can only name so many things. Euler's equation, inequality, identity.
Formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they had to name it after other people that actually used it.
Right. but who did not didn't develop it. They didn't actually find it, right? It was Euler that did the legwork, I'm guessing.
Open said, I don't know, it's a little too mainstream. Us hipsters go to e to the 1/2 j tau. E to the 1/2 j tau? What is that? Is that just a different form of the equation?
Where am I looking?
It's right there. E to the 1/2 j tau.
So J is sometimes used instead of I by I think it's more of an engineering thing.
The same thing with different letters.
Yeah.
Screw you, open set. Just different letters.
Oh, so we have tau is
Arbitrary.
pi. Yeah.
I mean, so speaking of different letters, so I'm in a chemistry department, but I also do. I'm affiliated with material science and engineering.
Okay.
I'm affiliated or related to chemical engineering and discussions with problems in chemical engineering. And sometimes we speak very different languages, at least in terms of mathematical models. And so for you, you're doing fluid dynamics, but it's across several different domains. Do you have like variable soup? Do you have the problem of language across domains?
Yeah.
Like, what's your worst, most frustrating version of that?
It might be the one I actually dropped, which is rate of spread, which is just, in reality, it's just velocity, right? Or speed, right? But people somehow reserve it for fire, right? And so the one thing that kind of irks me a little bit about it is that people talk about the rate of spread, and then they say that's the speed the fire is moving or whatever, but they don't tell you which direction it's moving. And so, it's
not a vector quantity.
Yeah, that's right. So that tells you kind of how it's moving in the in probably the fastest direction. But how the fire moves in the backing direction, we call this the backing fire, that absolutely plays an important role in how fires behave. In fact, that's the only type of fire we quite often want when we do prescribed fire. Backing fire has a particular benefit over head fires. And then there's also the fires that are going up the side are, unsurprisingly called flank fires. So yeah, when people talk about the rate of spread, they say the rate of spread is, 2 meters a second, or something, not that fast, but 20 centimeters a second or something like that. And it's like, sure, but in what direction? This kind of stuff. So yeah, that kind
all directions.
Yeah, that's right.
Why not? We got fire tornadoes.
That's right.
And
The last thing you should be worried about is 20 centimeters a second when we got a pyrocumulus brewing over here.
I want an isotropic fire propagation. Just
that's right.
Zero wind, zero,
zero slope,
uniformity.
Zero. Yeah, that's right. Fuel everywhere. Yeah, just like in the real world. Yeah.
Spherical fire. We got this.
All right, I think I got one level left.
Secret door here. That guy in the little box covers it.
Oh, so
here it is.
Is this a boss?
This must be the end of it.
Oh yeah, that's a boss for a while. Yeah,
do you want to try the boss without?
No, I definitely don't.
Wait,
I don't even know if I'm actually doing any damage on him yet, or do I just got to do something with these tokens up
is
here?
It just me, or did the music change?
The music changed.
Holy,
no,
that's Grumple. That's the name we had at the start. Thank you, Contra. We're going full circle.
I think I gotta.
Oh, so you have to hit him with lightning. Presumably.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how many, and I don't know how to get lightnings to form.
It did change. Lori's ecstatic. She's no longer losing her mind.
Sure.
Shoot a bunch of lightning at the bottom and...
Oh, I'm shooting lightning. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize that. Oh, okay. That's convenient. Okay,
there you go. Now you're causing damage.
There we go.
We got
going
this.
down. There we go. Just sit here on this wall and don't have to worry about these bottles she's throwing at me.
The song is Flight of the Bumblebee?
Is it? I don't think so. It's close.
I don't know.
Is Flight of the Bumblebee that? I don't even know how old that song is.
Is it actually?
Is it predate 88 or 86 or whatever this game is?
Flight of the Bumblebee. Video game soundtracks? Yeah.
When did Flight of the Bumblebee come out?
Nikolai Rimsky-Korvaska, according to V-Ghost's Pixelized, Flight of the Bumblebee is an accurate description of that.
I don't know how many times I gotta hit this guy. I don't know how I do this without God mode. Oh, there we go. I think I got him. I don't think I won the speed record, though. Oh, now he's back.
Flight of the Bumblebee came out in 1900.
Okay, okay.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Rehashed. Punch him? Have you tried punching it?
I don't think there's any punching in this game. I think it's all I got.
Oh, man. We built up so much this. How many hits do you need? This is crazy.
Yeah, well, this is kind of like mode 2 of them. Like, you went from being blue to being red now.
It's like when I attempt to program a classical piece in a synth sequencer, but I mess it up.
Yeah. I don't know how anyone can beat this game with it, I guess. You said someone did it in like 29 minutes.
29 minutes is the record. That's crazy.
They must have some way to get those umbrellas that let you skip a whole bunch of levels.
Yeah, I'm sure
they're
they're
the
very
secret to get that.
Strategery.
Passing some of the, or skipping some of the hard levels.
Once he's bubbled, gotta physically touch him. How do you tell if he's bubbled?
Like, he was bubbled kind of before he turned red.
Okay, and then you touched him, so you have to
No,
probably...
well, maybe I needed to touch him and I didn't.
And now you can't beat him.
We gotta go back to level 1. Sorry, Lori.
Oh, there it is. Touch him.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you, whoever.
Holy crap.
Holy smokes.
Contra...
2.4 million points. Bad end. This is not a true ending. Take the magical crystal ball and you will find the door to the secret road.
What is that? What is that nonsense? Oh, Laurie's redeemed Shake and Drink. Brian, cheers. You beat your arch nemesis at level 58.
That's right, yeah.
And then you got to the
another
end.
42 more.
You got there. You earned it. Holy crap, that was a journey. All right. What do you want to do next? What do you want to go with?
Yeah.
Something that doesn't have that song playing.
Yeah, that's right. Why don't we...
we have Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World.
Super Mario, let's do the NES one.
The NES version. Let's do...
Or no, sorry, the Super Nintendo one.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay. Super Mario World.
The one with Yoshi.
For SNES. All right. Let's jump forward to the future. This has got to be early 90s. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
90, 91.
So this is the game I sold my Nintendo for to be able to buy this game here.
But the princess is in another castle. Yeah, classic Mario.
Right.
We got to play some Mario every single stream. That's not true. We don't mandate it, but most people do. So this is Super Mario World.
It's kind of something about our generation.
That opening sequence of the original song is immortal. All right, how's the volume, ladies and gentlemen? Turn it up a little.
Oh, sorry.
Let me get people's volume a little bit. All right, you guys have to let me know if the volume's too loud or too quiet. Brian, are you good on beer or you want another one?
I'm good on beer.
Okay. 10 o'clock, we should do another prediction. It is time. Which one do you want to go with? Downhill. This one you kind of covered already. Oh, this one's fun. We haven't talked about blood at all.
We haven't talked about blood cells or the vesicle work I do.
All we've talked about is fire.
Right. This one's a little less doom and gloom.
It's a sexy topic. Actually, it's a... So the way I was introduced to you is through FSU,
That's right.
the College Arts Sciences PR office. Yeah. Like Amy and Heather, and I know them well. And they're like, you should do this guy. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's reach out to Brian. And
me and one of my students did that interview with
I like their podcast. It's kind of fun. You got the coffee cup. And
that's right. It's still in my office.
It's a little trophy. I'll take it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put up another prediction. If you're not following us, click the follow button. We are going to put up a prediction right now. The average lifespan of a red blood cell is less than 1 month or greater than 1 month. And so one of Brian's branches of research is using fluid dynamics to model behavior of blood and things like related to blood and fluid processing and all sorts of stuff. So the question is, what is the average lifespan of a red blood cell? Less than 1 month or greater than 1 month? That's just something like inherent to our existence, but we will never think about it on a casual basis.
We just assume our body knows what it's doing and...
Oh man, I have the super jump code in. You want me to get rid of that? So you're double jumping. So if you go in the air and press jump again.
Oh yeah.
You want me to get rid of that?
Sure. That makes it a little too easy.
Sorry, I made multi-jump.
Mid-air jump.
We'll just do
infinite lives.
You're about to die probably, but
I think I got it.
Okay, that was too much. That was too cheating for at least early in the game. All right, you guys have about 1 minute. The question is the average lifespan of a red blood cell. This is a human red blood cell, presumably. Yep. Human red blood cell, is it less than 1 month or greater than 1 month? And this is another one of those. I could imagine this one going either way.
Yeah, this is the other two. I think we're a little more.
This
the
one.
fact that it was 100%.
It tells you something.
Yeah.
Well, this one's leaning 100% one way too. So we'll see what the outcome is here.
maybe it's just a more well-known fact than I thought. I certainly didn't know the answer.
Whose head? I'm gonna do number 3. We'll see how this is. This is one of those that it's kind of like this Bud Light casual.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm gonna die. There we go.
All right, 15 seconds. Make your predictions now. Is the average lifespan of a red blood cell in a human less than 1 month or greater than 1 month? Put your prediction one way or the other. No option for exactly 1 month. Non-exhaustive question. Open set is upset. We didn't say greater than or equal to.
Yeah, you can put an equal to 1 month. It is not exactly 1 month. I'll give that away.
So, exhaustive in terms of correct possible answers. All right, Brian, what is the answer?
Yeah, so that one is... Sure, can you phrase it again? No, I forget if it... Right, it is greater than a month.
Greater than 1 month.
Yeah.
We have a 28-to-1 payout. Congratulations.
Oh,
Contra for the dark horse vote. Everyone else said less than 1 month.
So it's actually closer to about... it's closer to about 4 months.
4 months.
An average blood cell is 4 months. So yeah, they actually... this is assuming that you're healthy and stuff like this, but yeah, your red blood cells actually survive for a long time. You know, as they age, they start to change their behavior. They don't deform or bend or this kind of stuff correctly, and so then they need to be filtered out of your body. And so then maybe the follow-up question, maybe this is obvious, but at least maybe a little bit of a funny thing is, you know, what organ is responsible for getting rid of those red blood cells?
I'm gonna say kidney.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Which organ?
It's the spleen.
Spleen.
Yeah.
Processes dead red blood cells, or at least
so it's part of it. Yeah. The spleen has actually got these very narrow slits that the blood cells got to go through, and it's kind of like a filter, right? If they're able to make it through, then they're still healthy and they're ready to keep going. And if it's not able to make it through, then it's time for your body to get rid of them.
Wow.
So they're made in your bone marrow, but then they are removed in your through your spleen. And so this is actually, I remember I was at some friend's house quite a while ago, and there was it was when there was that craze about that YouTube song about what does the fox say.
Yeah.
And there was a follow-up on it that I think a bunch of medical students did, which was what does the spleen do? It's kind of this human organ that everyone's like, you know, we all know what our heart does and our kidneys and stuff like this, but the spleen is kind of like, you know, do we really need a spleen? So the answer is yes.
What does the spleen do?
They had a whole music video about it and stuff like this. So.
Oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is the next level nerdery right there. Sure, we're drinking, playing video games, talking science, but we didn't make a song called "What Does the Spleen Do?"
Or what does the fox say either?
Yeah. Oh man, that is amazing. But 4 months, that is a amazingly long period of time. I mean, when you think about that, what's crazy about that to me, and you might have heard this statistic about atoms in your body being replaced. So the calculation is something like 7 years every atom in your body is replaced. Okay. But if you do the actual math, it's like every 1 year, 98% of your atoms are replaced.
Every 1 year?
Every 1 year, yeah.
98%, right.
Yeah.
And so that by the end of 7 years, you're at 100%.
Yeah. Yep. And so 4 months for your cells to die and be replaced.
Right. You're completely new person.
That's the average, right? So some of those cells last longer than 4 months. That's crazy.
I don't remember how to do this.
And so let's dive down that rabbit hole. So we've talked about fluid dynamics modeling like airplane flight and wind tunnels and stuff like that, and also fire propagation and fire tornadoes and things like that.
Doom and gloom stuff.
But you're also using that to model blood cells and blood flow and things like. What does that look like in your world?
So the type of work I do on that, this is at the so we talked about this Reynolds number thing, and so the Reynolds number tells you kind of what's important and what's not. And in the fire application, inertia is absolutely important. And in your bloodstream, the fluid that's inside your bloodstream is actually inertia is not so important, and so it's dominated by what we call viscous forces. And so the work I do is are what are called suspensions. So you imagine that you have a fluid with some kind of particle or membrane or something like that in there. And so what the models look like is it looks like an elastic membrane that is deforming and responding to what the fluid's doing. suspended inside of inside of some kind of geometry that has fluid inside of it. And so the types of models we have to solve look like, basically you have to you have the, I get rid of this guy, sorry. You have to solve the fluid equations, and then the red blood cells respond appropriately to what the fluid did.
Ooh.
And that was
Nice.
Right. So again, it's just kind of coupling that I was talking about a little bit with the erosion before. So you have the elastic membrane, or the red blood cell, is inside the fluid. It has some kind of shape and some kind of forces that it's exerting on the fluid. That affects what the fluid does, and then the membrane responds back to what it did. Mm-hmm. And so when you get suspensions, usually we have, when we think of simulating suspensions, we think of lots of these membranes inside the fluid. Just like in your body, you have more than one red blood cell, hopefully. And so you have lots of red blood cells, and they actually interact with each other. So they get close, and they deform, and they kind of wrap around each other, and some are close to the walls of your capillaries, and some are closer to the middle, and they're mixed in there with platelets and white blood cells and all sorts of different stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it is I'm just solving the fluid equations for the liquid that is suspending these particles, or these say the red blood cells, and then you're doing some mechanical type forces to talk about how the vesicle responds to what the fluid is doing to it. So yeah, that's kind of the 30-second pitch of the.
And so that was your postdoc work. You continued that a little bit.
That's right. So that's kind of when I started my postdoc. That's when I kind of got into that problem. Mm-hmm. It was using the same numerical method that I developed that I worked on in my PhD, and made contributions to that field, known as these integral equation methods are called. Mm-hmm. And so these are really powerful methods for solving. I'm a bit duck there. These are really powerful methods for solving linear problems, so problems that are kind of easier to solve, like the Stokes equations. When you have no Reynolds number flow, we're really good at solving those equations using these integral equation methods. We can solve them very accurately. We can solve it in really complex domains, and so that's so that's a nice thing. But then you're kind of restricted to these to these linear type problems, and so sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought here a little bit. What was I talking about?
Yeah, blood cells, blood flow.
Right. So at that regime, the inertial forces don't matter so much, and so we can get away. Right. So we can get away with solving using this integral equation method to be able to solve these the equations that determine this. And so it's this really nice method for doing kind of really accurate solutions that are resemble the physics and stuff like this. And so we're able to do kind of lots of suspensions of these particles, and you have something that looks realistic, or fairly close to what's really going on. So it's very different from kind of my work on fire, where in fire, if you have a model that's kind of if you get 20% accuracy, you're doing a great job. Yeah. Whereas in my work on the on integral equation methods, if I get only 8 digits accuracy, I'm not doing such a good job. I should be able to push that up to there's some people that are I've seen this one particular guy. Machine precision is kind of as high as you can go on a computer, just because of hardware limitations. Mm-hmm. And so you should be able to get 16 digits accuracy. And he's had people that gave a talk, and they show kind of their what their error looks like, and it's 14 digits. And this guy puts up his hand, and he's like, what happened to your last digit of accuracy? Right? And we're talking about 14 digits here, and you really want me to get the 15th digit? So
everyone's a critic.
Yeah. So that that line of work that I do is very different from the from the fire dynamics type stuff. So that was what I did in my postdoc. Yeah. So kept it going here.
Following up from the taxpayer perspective, what does somebody use that knowledge for? Like when you were able to model these blood cell flows and things like that. Uh-huh. What do you do with that?
What do you do with it?
It's like dialysis applications?
Yeah, there are. So I work very much on kind of the methods, and I don't do a ton of the modeling, mm-hmm. And you're working say with a health professional or something like that. But I can talk a little bit about what some people do. Yeah, some people do. So I know one person in particular that's they use different numerical methods than I do. But they're interested in understanding if you put a red blood cell inside of an artery, where you've put a stint in there.
I see.
And then
I
they
see.
want to understand kind of the mechanical forces that are going to happen because you have a stint in your bloodstream now. And so this obviously has a lot of medical applications that people like the NIH would certainly be interested in this in this kind of stuff.
And then you make decisions about stint diameter and what the surface is and friction and
shape optimization and this kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's intriguing.
So yeah, that's kind of one thing that comes to mind right away that I know that people have or people are working on. One of my more recent works on I keep saying red blood cells, but really I model something that's slightly different called a vesicle. But one thing that we've or one assumption that people make quite often about vesicles that people don't believe is actually accurate, and it has an effect on what the vesicle does. I can shoot that guy. Is the what's called semi-permeability. So the idea is that this vesicle is people were assuming that it's a closed membrane where it's got fluid inside and it's got fluid outside, but they're assuming that there's no transfer fluid from the inside to the outside.
Oh yeah, these mushroom levels.
Yeah, that's right.
Gambling
I think they're
for
free
kids.
lives. Yeah, that's right. There we go. If you get the first two right, the third one's free life, right? Which is kind of irrelevant with infinite lives.
Yeah.
Already up to 13.
Well, no, this is pride, though. This is all for pride.
I'll try the
Miss
middle.
Adventure, welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
No, got that one wrong. Okay.
Man, yeah, you guys are jumping in at our marathon of theoreticians, actually. So we had, a month ago, we had Hitesh Chenglani from astrophysics, or from condensed matter physics. He does like modeling many electron systems. And then 2 weeks ago, we had Sachin Shanbag, who does like materials modeling, polymers, soft materials, things like that. And then now you're joining us with Bryan Quaife, who's an expert at using fluid dynamics to measure or to describe all sorts of different things, from fires to blood cells and things like that. So, Miss Adventure, welcome back to the stream. Don't worry, you're just in time. We're going to start NARC in about 10 minutes. So that's really the only reason people come, is to watch NARC. So
see if I can beat this NARC game.
No, you will beat NARC.
Right,
It's a question of how long.
Right.
And can you beat Sachin's time?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Nerd with a doodle. Do you consider any biochemical process, for example, the fluid dynamic effects of red blood cells after a biochemical process? Man, could you add a variable?
Yes. So I don't. I can't think of anything related to biochemical, right? But I was talking about this permeability. So this is this idea that certain biomembranes don't have this property that there's no fluid exchange between the inside and the outside of the membrane. And so we had a paper that we published in Physical Review Fluids a year or two ago with a colleague in New Jersey and one of my previous students, where we built where we looked at we built into the model permeability. So this idea that if you have that if you have kind of certain types of forces on the membrane of this vesicle, or if you want to think of it as a red blood cell, that's okay too. Then you can actually have exchange of fluid going from the inside to the outside. And so there's different ways that you can actually have this exchange of fluid. The one we did was purely mechanical. So if you have higher pressure on the inside than the outside, it's going to push fluid out. But there are people that look at this more from a chemical point of view. So if you have a different concentration of some kind of chemical, or an ion or something like this on the inside versus the outside, then you're going to have like an osmotic type flux that's going to try to exchange fluid from the inside to the outside, or vice versa, to be able to try to balance this this chemical concentration on each side of it. And so there are people that look at this problem as well, and kind of what the effect is on how that affects the dynamics of these of these cells or membranes or vesicles or whatever kind of biomembrane you want to think about.
Makes sense. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Let's grind it out.
I'm not going to do all levels.
Cuddle Puppy has an important question that they sent me in a message. Have you ever seen Dr. Quaife in direct sunlight? If he's a blood scientist, it's very likely he's a vampire. Are you a vampire? Do you choose to answer that question or not?
I suppose I can answer it. I am not a vampire.
He's under some pretty intense lights when we stream, so I'm gonna say his story checks out. He is not, in fact, a vampire. But Cuddle Puppy, thank you for looking out for everyone and the well-being of humanity. Are you half vampire?
I'm
like
not, yeah.
Blade?
I think there was if vampires were real, I don't think they'd be Canadian, actually. It's just something that feels wrong about, Canadian vampire. I don't think that's going to be a Hollywood movie anytime soon.
I mean, French Canadian. Some elegance behind that, right? Have you ever seen him and Dracula in the same room? I have not. So, counterpoint.
Yeah, that's right.
And then how does he know the blood in his fridge expires after 4 months? Well, that's a good question. Like, how long can they store donated blood?
Yeah, that I don't know.
I'm presumably they cool it, right?
You think I think it's longer than 4 months, but I could be wrong. I've actually I sometimes feel guilty that I don't think I've ever donated blood, actually.
Wow. Okay. Donated blood storage lifetime is what I just Googled. Red blood cells have a limited shelf life after donation and must be used in 42 days or less.
Oh.
And so that's, that's
okay,
a
so
certain.
once you get it out of the body,
it's like lifetime of your TV. If it goes down by 10% quality, it's no longer usable. So 42 days is probably.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 4 month lifetime, yeah. Exactly 42 days.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Nerd brings up an important point. I assume he does field work outside with prescribed fires.
Yeah, so that was actually I do a little bit. So I am I'm trained as a computational applied guy, and so maybe that's why they think I'm a vampire too. I'm a little bit pale, maybe from spending all my time in my indoors. But I do once in a while kind of get out and get to do some work in the field. The funding that we have has field work involved in it, and I have co-PIs that are who are field work experts. But I try to help out where I can. But the class that we just that I just taught, this computational methods in fire dynamics, I went out of my comfort zone in several ways, and one of the ways that I did it was that I brought in a field component for the class. And so I worked with my colleague Kevin Spear, who's his work is much more field related work, and so he had a field class on fire, and so we combined kind of classes, and we spent a couple of days up at Tall Timbers just north of town here, actually doing experiments that the students had developed, and we had a lot of fun. So yeah, I do get to do field work once in a while.
There's an important conversation going on in chat right now.
Okay.
What happens after 42 days? Cuddle Puppy says on the 43rd day it bursts into flames. Contra says Blood NATO. Cuddle Puppy follows up Blood NATO featuring vampire sharks. If I had to guess, I would say after 42 days, since there's no replacement, there's no purification process, it just has sufficient number of dead cells that's no longer good to put in another body.
Yeah.
As soon as you decompose those cells, you're essentially injecting a lot of crap.
Yeah, not going to transport oxygen anymore.
Yeah, it's not going to be functional, and it'll introduce all sorts of stuff that you probably don't want inside your system, especially if you have a low percentage of blood that's effective. So
yeah, if you're needing blood,
yeah,
then you really want the good blood or healthy blood, I guess.
Man, but there are efforts to make synthetic blood.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a hemoglobin molecules. You put them in a protein shell and you try to artificially transport oxygen, which is kind of cool.
Because they've been doing artificial organs.
Yeah.
I've seen that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
First they were doing kind of organs from different animals. Like I think the pig was kind of a common one. You could get people were getting pig livers, I think, or something like this.
Yeah, the artificial blood one would be big.
That would be big. Yeah.
Oh, Lori, we need Weird Al to do a vampire shark version of Baby Shark. The lyrics of the original are too complex for Weird Al to deconstruct.
That'd be fun.
True. Oh man, your kids are old enough. You missed the Baby Shark phase.
No, we had a little Baby Shark.
You did? You had it? Oh man.
Do this
now, man, my kids
yeah, mine are a little bit older than yours.
Yeah. We still had the preschool dance, the shark dance. Oh, man. All right. How long do you think it's going to take you to beat NARC? Our fastest time is 17 minutes. Our slowest time is 38 minutes. You beat Bobble with cheat codes.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm going to put you at 25 minutes, less than 20 to 25 minutes is what I'm going to guess. Anyone in chat want to make a guess based on Brian's gameplay thus far, how fast he's going to beat NARC? Keep in mind, he did watch Sachin's stream last a couple weeks ago, so he does have some insights into the game.
There we go.
NARC prediction? Oh man, should I do a prediction? Do we want to do any more of these predictions before I do a NARC one?
Is there another good one, or that might be a little bit? I've already said this one basically.
Yeah. That one's out. We can do the fire one. I don't know how common knowledge this one is.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one that I don't want to say anything. Yeah. I keep wanting to kind of drop tidbits of information, but that's gonna be
spoilers.
Anything will spoil it. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna throw up one more science prediction, and then we're gonna do a video game prediction because now you're against your colleagues. All right, fire propagates faster downhill than uphill. Is this true or false? And Huggy Beer has redeemed request a factoid. So if you want to drop a knowledge bomb, Huggy Beer, welcome back to stream. Always a pleasure to have you on stream. Have you ever studied the difference in dynamics between real blood and synthetic blood? I don't think synthetic blood is sufficiently mature right now.
Yeah, I don't think that really exists at the...
Answer the prediction as a factoid. Cuddle Puppy, you found the loophole to our entire stream. You have broken everything.
What do they? Oh, the factoid is what's the answer to the question.
Yeah, they want a factoid that answers the question.
Right. Yeah, I had one that I cut out. Should I do the factoid now, or should I wait till kind of this question's done?
Might as well wait till the question's done. We have about 1 minute, and we'll do the factoid as we transition over. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, it's 10:30. We got about 30 minutes left. Our guest today is Dr. Bryan Quaife. He's an expert in fluid dynamics simulation, scientific computing. He's actually a mathematician that does applied mathematical problems, and particularly in our scientific computing department at Florida State University. So he actually wants to model real systems like fire, wildfire propagation, the variables that dictate that, as well as blood cells and how those are malleable, and talking about things like Reynolds. What is Reynolds number? Yeah, and then man, talked about a bunch tonight. Fire tornadoes is probably the highlight of the evening. That'll go on my tweet. It makes it sound real sexy. Fire tornadoes and fire plume lightning.
Pyrocumulus. Yeah.
Pyrocumulus.
Yeah.
That's amazing. From a fluid dynamics standpoint, as long as it's the same viscosity/density, it should behave the same, I'd imagine.
That's right.
But but it's a different, it's a suspension, right? So it's not a true liquid.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, when you put in, so even though the Stokes equations are a linear set of equations, which are kind of the easy, you think linear is easy and nonlinear is hard. Mm-hmm. Even though the equations are linear, as soon as you start putting in things like elastic membranes inside there, that does things that makes the fluid much more complicated, and that's why there's still plenty of active research to do on at the Stokes limit at these low Reynolds number flows.
Well, so to follow up on that, so I teach general chemistry too. That's my bread and butter class, and we talk about liquids and liquid properties, right? So we talk about intermolecular force and how they dictate things like viscosity and vapor pressure and stuff like that. But then we have this weird-ass section of the book that talks about colligative properties. Are you familiar with these?
No.
And so colligative properties, you add salt to water, and it changes the boiling point, right?
Okay.
And so that's why you do it, right? It makes it boil hotter.
Right.
But what's weird about it is all the other properties are a thermodynamic parameter. It's basically how strongly do the molecules interact, and that dictates vapor pressure and viscosity. But all these colligative properties like osmosis, like boiling point elevation, freezing point depression, the reason you put salt on the roads in the winter is freezing point
Minneapolis.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in that case, it's not thermodynamic. Well, it is thermodynamic, but it's not the enthalpy, it's the entropy that drives that process.
Okay.
And so you're adding a component to it, and entropy screws up everything. And so I can't imagine this happens on things you're doing, like the blood cells and stuff like that. But it's just, it's like all the stuff we think about in terms of pure liquids and all the thermodynamic properties go out the window when entropy is driving everything. It's just a weird, it's a detour. It's not something you'd care about in your systems. What a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it just goes to show how, these different regimes, even though they're both kind of fluids type problems, right?
Yep.
In these different regimes, things are just, totally different.
Well, and it's just the number of particles you add changes that number, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Fire propagates faster downhill, true or false?
That is fast. It propagates faster uphill.
So it is.
So it is unlike us. We propagate
False.
faster downhill.
Fire propagates uphill.
Fire does not behave the same way as we do, right?
99% of the voting said yes on that. So congratulations on your 1.01 to 1 payout. You made a cent on it.
So sorry, 99% of the people got it right or wrong?
Got it right.
Okay.
So I think it's common knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
This goes back to one of those things like,
Maybe the question is why no, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like when I was a kid, I was under the impression that I would have to stop, drop, and roll way more often than I have had to in my life. This might fall under the umbrella of people know fire goes faster uphill.
I was actually talking to my wife this morning about because I watched your video with Sachin last week, and there was one thing that it's just something that's stuck in my head, and every time I think of it, I start giggling. And it's the comment you made that you thought that quicksand would be a much more where you'd be like I had the same experience. I remember
being terrified,
going to the mall or to the beach
DuckTales,
or whatever, and it's like watch out for the quicksand. Well, there's a good chance I've never seen a molecule of quicksand in my entire life.
So yeah, Cuddle Puppy, stop, drop, and roll, quicksand, and the Bermuda Triangle.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Those are the obvious ones based on my Saturday morning cartoons.
The other one, that's right. The other one that I that I like to point out, related but a little bit different, was and I'm sure other people have this experience in their childhood too. Was when I was a kid, you were always when you were at the beach or at the pool or whatever, and you would come out and take a snack. You're always told you don't go in the water for some amount of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, you're going to cramp up, drown, and die, right?
Yep.
But
complete bullshit.
it was just an excuse to get you to kind of take a break and
Oh man, Reese's Pieces, welcome back to stream. You watch The Never-Ending Story once and your perception of quicksand is forever mirrored. Yes.
That's right.
That I'd be curious how many, like a generation of kids just traumatized by Artex dying in quicksand. Yeah, I remember his name because that's how traumatic it was. Absolutely. It always reminded I'm always reminded fireworks opposite how we run on hills. Faster downhill, slower uphill. Yeah. Generally good. Oh, Huggy Bear, sorry for the spoiler alert on Never-Ending Story. Don't worry, he comes back at the end.
Oops.
All right, Artex. R.I.P. Press F in chat for Artex. All right, you ready? Are you ready for NARC?
Whenever you are.
It's time. I don't even know
All
right.
Is it? Oh, yeah,
let's do it.
Okay.
I'm going to get live split up. Let's transition to this. We had to drop a factoid.
Right.
I completely forgot. Do that while I'm loading the game.
So the other factoid I was going to I was going to talk about this when one of the questions is what's kind of the most expensive thing you've seen in the lab, or the most expensive mistake you've seen in a lab, which, because I'm a computational scientist, I don't work in the lab that much, and obviously if there was a mistake, that's a really bad thing in my line of work for the firework. But something that's been a craze recently and has caused a lot of problems in the in the fire community are these gender reveal parties. And there's been a couple of them in the last few years where people wanted to, you see them online and people have made them more and more elaborate, and they've got to the point now where people are using pyrogenics and fireworks that explode either pink or blue, and so on and so forth. But people have done this in kind of times of the year when you shouldn't do it, in terrains that you shouldn't do it, and so on and so forth. And there have been serious wildfires that have been lit by gender reveal parties. So it's not only the fire tornadoes and the pyrocumulus and the embers that you got to watch out for, but it's also the expecting parents that kind of go off the deep end and decide to use fireworks to reveal the gender of their upcoming baby. And so there are two examples in particular I looked up, and one was in California and one was in Arizona, I think, and I think one of them there was one of the firefighters that was fight. These burned for kind of weeks or something like that. And one of them, a firefighter, unfortunately died. People lost homes, lots of land, stuff like that. But it's also the people have also been held accountable for this. Mm-hmm. And so there's been people that have been charged and spent time in jail and have sued by the government and all this kind of stuff for for this kind of thing. So yeah, it's one more thing to look out for, I guess.
So we got fire tornadoes, we got lightning plumes, we've got
Embers,
plasma, we got embers that travel several kilometers, and we have gender reveal parties. So
that's right.
we're terrifying everyone tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put up a prediction right now. The question is, how long is it going to take Bryan to beat NARC? And so to give context to these numbers, the world record is 9 minutes and 4 seconds. The record for Ask a Scientist guest is 17 minutes by Adam Dewan. Slower times are somewhere on the end of the spectrum of 38 minutes. And so the question is, where will Bryan be on the spectrum of beating NARC? It really comes down to most of the time the final boss and how quickly you get to jump rocket. So yeah, what's your guys' guess? We're going to give you 2 minutes to make this prediction right now. We'll give them some time to think about it. Man, is there anything you wanted to answer that I didn't ask? Oh, here's the one. No moral qualms, unlimited budget. What experiment would you do?
Yeah,
you could start fires.
Yeah, so probably it would be so. One of the hardest things with fires is to actually get kind of good measurements in the in the fire environment. So you want to make some measurements on the fire, and so you put an instrument there. But the issue is the fire comes through and it just burns it up. And so I don't know how to do this, but it would be nice to have some kind of experiment or something like that where you get kind of high resolution measurements of where the fire is, what the wind is doing, and high resolution not only in space but also in time. So fire's kind of notorious for they have they do a burn unit and they put like 6 anemometers around it, and then from that we're supposed to have boundary conditions for a PDE solver. And it's but I got 6 data points, and you're giving me a wind speed every 10 minutes, right? That's not going to you don't know nothing about the turbulence or how the flow is changing or all this kind of stuff. And so it would be cool if you had kind of a way to be able to make very accurate and high resolution both in space and time measurements of lots of things inside of a fire environment.
You'd buy a shitload of sensors and throw them out over space,
That's right.
drop them from a plane over a fire, and get all the data.
And somehow make them not perish in the fire.
Or at least send signals before they perish.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready for this,
ready,
Bryan?
yeah. Let's try NARC.
So here's the original cartridge. I bought this at a Sarasota retro game shop. So I'm going to give you guys the lore behind NARC. Many of you know this by heart, but I'm going to read it nonetheless. You are Max Force. Your mission: bust Mr. Big and destroy his dreaded criminal empire. Seize all contraband, stolen money, illegal weapons, and use rocket bombs, high-powered machine guns. Apprehend all suspects. Protect the innocent. Punish the guilty. Stop at nothing. And on our stream, you do all of that as fast as you can because, Bryan, you're going to win the war on drugs tonight. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want to know the outcome of the prediction?
Sure.
So, how long will it take Bryan to beat NARC? 4 people said greater than 25 minutes. 4 people said less than 25 minutes.
Okay.
But the people that said greater than 25 bet much more of their internet units. So they're confident you won't beat it in under 25 minutes. So, no pressure. Press start. I'll hit the clock as soon as you hit the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on to another journey.
So there is hold A, touch A, hold B, touch B.
Yep. And walk right as fast as you can.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are off to the races. If you want to disrupt Bryan's gameplay, feel free to ask a whole bunch of questions. You're not pausing this one. The pressure is on. At the very least, you got to beat Sachin.
All right, there's a door.
Beer. I'm rooting for 25 on the dot, so House wins. We didn't do greater than or equal to.
Yeah, that's right.
Morons.
You got to put equality there.
We're so bad at this.
So do these things that say safe on it, do they serve me for anything, or?
What's that?
There was a little thing I picked up on the
card.
Thing,
that's the card for the door at the end of this level. Oh, go through. You can go through that door.
I was trying to go through.
Yeah, the hitboxes are just terrible on this. This is quality Nintendo graphics. All right, catching up on a few questions. Stealthy Sumo, with fire in space, would it travel faster on a concave or convex surface? Space. So we're talking about 0G with the surface? Stealthy, if you want to do any follow-up details on that.
Yeah, I got...
that's some true spherical fire right there.
Yeah, I don't even...
0 atmosphere resistance.
Even if they clarify, I don't know.
What's your best guess?
On a concave or convex?
It depends... You'd assume concave because then it's uphill, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, depends, you know.
Frame of
I
reference?
think it's still the uphill side, right?
That's an interesting question. We don't
But
have
I think
an answer.
people, so I'm trying to remember where I saw it. So I was at this meeting in Boise recently where they had which was on fire stuff, and maybe it was there, but there are people that are thinking about kind of experiments involving fire on the International Space Station, so microgravity type applications.
If a fire breaks out, how do you deal
fire
with
breaks
it?
out there?
All right, briefly pause that discussion. So right here, you need to shoot the guys that are wearing black with bullets at close range, and one will drop a blue
This
card.
guy here?
Yep.
Okay.
So kill the brown guys, but with bullets. Rockets, they won't drop a blue card. Because this is
So that
Nintendo.
means I got a whole day?
Yes, but you want to be relatively close.
Was that the blue card?
You want to be like here? Nope. Both buttons, you can shoot the dog. And turn it into a puppy for some reason.
Okay.
So
And I'm
then
trying to shoot the black guys or the blue guys?
the black
Or brown
guys. The guys wearing black in with bullets.
Which means tap day or whole day?
Whole day.
Whole day. Okay.
Yep. But you have to be at a certain close range to them. You can't shoot them too far away because, again, I don't know how this works. Huggy Beer, does heat rise in space? Which way is uphill?
Right.
And that's the problem because concave and convex then mean nothing because the frame of reference doesn't exist. It's just a bowl. I didn't see it. So kill these guys. You can test if you got the card by going on that.
I wasn't close enough to him.
There you go. Blue card. All right. Now hit this thing. A little further right and go through the door. Hitbox is weird. All right. We don't know the answer. Huggy Beer, do superfluids fall into tonight's specialty? What do you know about superfluids or supercritical fluids?
What do I know? I've heard of it.
Einsteinian fluids? Yeah, that's not that doesn't fall under fluid dynamics umbrella. I don't think it even typically described as fluids anymore. It goes from high pressure to low pressure areas.
Really? Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Contra, has there ever been any place in the Mario universe for Mario to spend all these coins? I don't... Does he buy coins? I think you can in Mario Party. You can use coins to buy things. So stay at the bottom. There's a wall coming up. And then, yeah, that's as much as you can do without memorizing this.
When you stop. Yeah.
Lori, on cue, Lori wants us to NARC, drink, and drive. So,
empty, so you'll have to...
Do you want another one?
No, I'm all right.
All right, hammer that
I don't want a real drinking
all right,
later.
well,
So.
that's fair. Lori, cheers. I will drink tonight because we're going to hang out. I feel NARC is high pressure. Is it hot? No, we're in a nicely air-conditioned room right now.
Yeah.
It turns out between the 4 lights and the computer running, I have to run a secondary air conditioner while we stream for 3 hours. So tap B and you can jump over the wall.
Okay. Right.
Yep, there you go. 7 frames. All right, we caught up on factoids. We caught up on Mario Universe, Contra. I think Mario Party you can buy stuff, but I don't know for sure. All right, if you guys have any questions, we have about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes left, depending on how confident you are in the prediction that Bryan will beat NARC in under 25 or greater than 25 minutes.
The vampire.
Invisible drink. Can your drink is a vampire because the mirror in your camera can't see it. Yes, we are drinking Moosehead Canadian Lager tonight, which has a green can. But you'll notice now we get a moose on the top of the NARC board right there.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Which apparently this is a crappy Canadian beer, but Bryan didn't know. He gave me a list of 3 and I picked the one I hadn't tried. So this one's on me tonight.
And I don't think I've tried it either.
I apologize. The vampire theme runs deep tonight. Thank you,
Yeah,
Puppy.
I've noticed that.
Something worth thinking about. Oh man, what else should I ask you that I don't? Ooh, what is the flat earth / anti-vax equivalent in your field?
Yeah, so that one I didn't really, in the fireside I didn't really know, so I did, I did a little search on kind of some of the conspiracy theories, and it's kind of maybe the things that you would think of. And so, there are people that believe things like
Kill the car, stay on the bottom of the screen, tap B.
That the government is using prescribed fire to be able to control the climate or
Jump over the wall, keep going. Oh yeah, control climate.
Yeah, that's control climate or control us or something like that.
Yeah.
So you do get some of that.
And contra good catch, the dog did turn into a puppy when it got shot with bullets. But when it gets shot with rockets, it flips upside down and turns into a puppy. So we don't know the rules of this game.
So is this my progress here where it says the bridge?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm over halfway.
Yep, so you're going to come across a car at the end here, and you're going to want to stay at the bottom.
Okay.
This is your
car.
Yeah, don't kill him. Just keep going.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Canadian alcoholic drink?
Canadian alcoholic drink. Probably just a beer.
Jump in and stay on the bottom.
When I was
little lighter. There you go. Stay at the bottom. Ride it to the end.
So kokanee was one of my favorites when I was in Canada.
What is it?
Kokanee, it's called.
Kokanee.
I recently tried to find it actually because it was also my wife's favorite, and she had a birthday recently, and I wanted to get it. But Kokanee.
K-O-K. Kokanee.
Yeah.
What?
No, I think I'm gonna put beer after the word.
It's a fish.
It's a fish.
That's amazing. Kokanee beer.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It was made in, I think, Creston, I think.
Keep going.
Creston, BC.
You're on a clock.
Yeah, that's right.
Kokanee. There it is. Have you tried Beer City? There's one on John Knox, then there's one on Tennessee that goes on past. It has every beer. Anytime a guest asks me for a weird beer, that's the place I go.
Okay.
So that's the one.
So where did you find this Moosehead?
This was just at Total Wine.
Okay.
So all three that you listed were at Total Wine. I think you looked at them. So go through that door right there.
Okay.
And you're going to find a key to the right. And you're going to grab this key, go through the door, but don't press up after you go through the door, or you'll go through again. Oh, go right, go through the door, and don't do that again.
Is that the right door?
Nope, far right.
I'm way back at the beginning again?
Yep, so it'll be this door. It's not too far.
The plus 25 guys are looking
seconds.
good now. Okay,
Are you
now
feeling the pressure? Yep, and so go left. There's the key card door right there.
Okay.
Then you're out.
Can I just go in it, or? Yep.
Yep. Kokanee beer. Yeah, that's the one I would check on Tennessee. If you go further to the east, towards the end there's like the strip mall, and there's that breakfast place.
Okay.
That's right where the beer, I don't remember if it's Beer City or Beer, it's called. I apologize.
Yeah, so Kokanee actually part of one of the reasons, it's not a good reason to like it, but they had, like a lot of beer companies, they had really good commercials, funny commercials.
Go left.
Go left.
And so
they had
so you're gonna want to shoot these Rambo looking guys with bullets, but at a reasonably close range.
Okay.
One is gonna drop a green card, not rockets, bullets.
Which is hold A.
Hold
right?
A. Yep. Yeah. There it is. Green card. Green door. Nice.
Nice.
That's a good pace. So that's RNG. It's a random number generator. You have like 1 in 8 chance they drop that.
Okay. Yeah, so the one Kokanee commercial I remember, it's the label, basically, they made it so that when the beer got cold enough, the label would change colors.
Yeah.
And so then it was certified cold or whatever. It was kind of the pitch that they had. And so it was this kind of Kokanee meeting with the Kokanee executives or whatever, and it's got all these guys. And then the girl's giving the pitch about this new kind of changing color. And the guys just don't understand it, all these guys. And they're like, when is my label going to turn into beer? And when is my beer going to change colors? And then it gives kind of a little, little commercial in the middle or whatever, a little thing in the middle, and then there's these 8 guys, and they're staring out the window at the mountains, and another guy comes in, and he's like, hey guys, what's up? And he'll go, shh, the mountains are going to change colors.
That's amazing. Yeah. When did that come out?
That was, I think I was still living in Canada. That might have been like the mid 2000s, or like mid 2005ish kind of time frame.
Ooh, man. It's a follow-up for the Canadian. Have you ever had a bear encounter inspired by the cocaine bear question? Have you had a bear encounter?
I guess I don't remember it, but yes, I was young. But I just, so one of these guys.
You have the key card.
Oh, I already have it.
Yep.
Okay.
Go through.
So, I got to go to the. Oh, yeah. So this is a story I was been told, but we were camping. And the food didn't get put away properly outside of the picnic table, and we went to bed. And when we woke up, the cubs were out there.
Oh.
And the rule with cubs is you don't go out if it's, the cubs are called cute and they're fine, they won't harm you, but mom is never far away.
Yeah.
And so of course you don't go out there. And so we were stuck in this little trailer for a little bit until they finished all our food, I guess, through all our garbage or whatever. And then we and then we were able to go out again. So it wasn't exciting. It's not like I've never had an experience where I feared for my life with bears. But there is a YouTube video of a guy somewhere in BC, I think, British Columbia, that where the bears are in his backyard on his way out to work. And he just goes outside and he goes, he doesn't try to scare him off or anything. He's just like, "Excuse me, I need to go to work now. Do you think you can leave my yard?" He's just like all polite and apologetic to him. And then,
classic Canadian.
Yeah.
And they left?
And they left, yeah. He's like, "I hope you enjoyed my yard. See you again tomorrow." And they just kind of went off in the woods. And it was a mama and 2 cubs. And
that is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to come up on a...
These dogs are...
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. I got rid of 3 of them there.
Turn them into puppies.
That's right. So I can get rid of this one that's just nipping on
All
my
right,
heels.
so you're going to come up on a guy in a wheelchair, and you're going to shoot him with a rocket.
The rocket. Okay, so that's tap A.
Yep.
I remember this being one place Sachin got hung up, I feel like.
Oh yeah, this is one of the harder ones, especially if you're not good at the tap A. So kill everything on the screen, he'll come back. Yeah, practice the rocket tap. There we go. One down.
Oh, how many times am I going to do that?
3 times.
Three guys come in with wheelchairs.
No, it's the same guy. He gets his next wheelchair.
It makes sense.
I lost 1 wheelchair. I still have 2 more.
And I just got shot with a rocket. But... So this one is...
Oh, man.
This is happy. Yeah.
Yep, so these guys, just clear out everyone on the screen and he'll come back. That's tap A.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of the hardest parts of the speedrun, actually, is getting this consistent. The rocket-damaged wheelchairs just eat up his budget. That's true. He's a drug lord. He cares about money. So just kill everything on screen, and he'll come back again. All right, last-minute questions from Bryan. He's happy to answer them. Fluid dynamics, fire propagation, modeling, fluid systems, erosion. We didn't talk much about erosion, which is a massive problem in Tallahassee. You can see in our yard, we're on a hill.
Yeah.
Did you decide where to buy a house based on erosion?
I did not. I did erosion after I started the erosion project after I bought my house. So, yeah.
But it became an issue. It was notable.
It is not. Yeah, we're not on a big hill, and then it's a fairly small yard. So
it's not bad. All right, tap it. Maybe press it a little. Press it a little less hard. Like you don't even have to press it down all the way. There you go.
I just keep forgetting if it's press or hold.
Yeah. So rockets, just tap rockets right now because you don't need bullets at all yet. Oh yeah, there's Huggy Beer follow-up question. It was during the blood conversation. They can make any blood into a donor type with an enzyme now, correct? Is that close to being commercially viable? I've heard about this.
I have not heard about that.
They enzymatically, the blood types are based on some sort of tag that can be seen by the body, and the body processes those tags accordingly. And so apparently they enzymatically can transform those tags into something like O positive or some kind of general blood type. I don't think that's commercially viable. I don't think they've applied that, but it's a really cool idea.
Because it's what if you're O, you can give to anybody, and then if you're AB, you can accept from anybody or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember the rules, but it's something like that. And the goal is to enzymatically transform it so you can do that.
I think anyone can take O negative or something like that. That's why they're always, you hear on the, not that they're accurate, but when you hear these medical dramas, are always like, hang a bag of O negative on blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Not that I get my medical...
Man, we had a health lawyer on, and her, what movie gets it wrong, or TV show? House is the answer. House gets all medical things wrong.
Okay.
Not in terms of the,
Even worse than, Grey's Anatomy? Or...
well, the Grey's Anatomy was bad, too, but not in terms of necessarily the health or the diagnoses or anything like that, but just in terms of the malpractice lawsuits that he would have.
I just got it.
Oh, yeah, there it is. All right. He's going to drop a gold card, pick it up, go through the door.
I think with I've only seen kind of little bits of House, but it seems like every disease that you can imagine coming once in a gazillion years happens to house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they use real case studies. They go to journals where it's like a single case in 100 years. This person has X condition.
Yeah.
And they actually write episodes around it. So go to the top of the screen, and you're going to jump and rocket him in the hat.
So I gotta go B and then tap A ever so slightly.
And so walk away this way, get some distance from him, turn around, tap B, and then tap A while you're in the air. On the way down, and you'll hit him in the hat. Stay at the top of the screen. The tongues won't get you.
Okay.
The tongues won't get you is an important thing I utter every 2 weeks during this stream. Yep, just like that, except a little bit later or a little bit earlier on the rocket. So walk away.
Should I always go to the right?
You got quite a bit of range to the right.
Okay.
So if you want to go to the right, you can
then
turn
when I
back.
run out of room, then I can start going back.
Cuddle puppy. Mad Max's blood type is relevant to the plot of Fury Road. Absolutely it is. Mad Max, the pinnacle of medical dramas. Correct. Okay, Nerd with Doodle. Can we suggest next FSU scientific computing researcher to feature? If yes, Thomas Plewa?
Another one of my colleagues. He's our
astrophysicist.
astrophysicist. Yeah.
Kevin Spear, an oceanographer.
He's my colleague, and he's the guy I work with on the fire project.
Yeah, if you guys have suggestions of FSU professors, like I literally cold email people just asking, hey, do you want to play video games and talk science? And sometimes they say yes. So if you guys have suggestions, feel free to email me or put them in chat or whatever, because I promise you, I will follow up with these individuals. My success rate on cold emails is probably about 20 to 30%.
Okay.
So Brian, thank you for saying yes to this.
No,
At the time you said yes, you didn't know you were playing NARC, so... Oh, that was close. A little lighter on the A button. That was really close. And if you get that one a little lower.
I'm running out of real estate to the right, though.
Yep, so go back the other way, get some distance. So tap B. Yep, that was close. You can push it. I think you're pushing it too hard.
Okay. Don't even push it all the way down, you said, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That'll give you some frames.
Okay.
We could ask Dr. Spear if vampire sharks are distributed in blood tornadoes. Did you expect the night to turn that way?
I did not. I didn't even realize when all my kind of questions and stuff were, I didn't realize there's some doom and gloom type stuff that I put in here.
No worries.
Yeah.
We've had fun with it. I mean, we've had Marty Swanbaugh-Brecker actually studies teen suicide rates. We had him as a guest. Okay. So you're not going to beat that in terms of downer. Yeah. So let's go with Marty Swanbaugh-Brecker from the Education Department.
Okay.
Yeah. He studies teen suicide rates and things like and interventions and stuff like that. So it was interesting, but yeah, a little bit of a downer topic, but so it goes.
Because we have I met him recently, but there's a guy in psychology who's an expert in I can't remember his name now. Who's an expert in suicide as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd love to have. I'm always looking for guests. All right, Huggy Beer, are you ever going to do two-player NARC? I've been trying to talk people into two-player NARC. So, Brian, fun factoid, I'm the former speedrun world record holder in this game. And I could do the two-player world record if I had somebody to do two-player NARC with. So I actually have a speedrun tutorial on our Ask a Scientist webpage saying how to beat this fast. Like, it breaks down everything. My brother is a computer/electrical engineer, and he reversed engineered aspects of the game to figure out what triggers certain events. And so we beat the speedrun record with that knowledge. So yeah, I just need to do that with two people. So I'm up for it, Huggy Beer. I'm happy.
I need someone to do it with you.
Exactly. But the two-player rules are different. Like when things trigger on the screen changes when the number of characters changes. So yeah, I don't know the rules for two-player.
I keep trying to get a second. If I miss the first one, I feel like there's time for a second one, but now I'm not sure.
I think, yeah. Just wait for him.
Oh, no, it's definitely too fast.
Yep, you're pushing too hard, probably.
Yeah.
The tension.
Yeah.
it's stressful. But
how many more times? I think I've got him at once.
This is the
you only got to get him once.
You have to get him in the hat once, and then it's rockets to the face without jumping. So this is the rate limiting step. So right here, this is what Rune did for Sachin.
Nope.
Oh, that was so close.
That wasn't it, though?
Nope. His hat will come off, and he'll become bald.
Okay. Does it make sense? You gotta blast someone's hat off with a rocket, and then you can shoot them. Yeah.
If anyone has questions, we have about 5 minutes, at least according to the bet that we had. So, yeah, now you can turn around. If you guys have questions for Bryan, he's happy to answer them. If you guys have suggestions on somebody we should raid, I mean, preferably a education-related streamer. We usually do well with those. But, yeah, if you have suggestions, let's find somebody to raid, bring our audience to another educational streamer, preferably. But, yeah, put your suggestions in chat. Okay, that's a lie. You've definitely had 2 hat hits. It's really touchy because Nintendo is dumb and the hitboxes are weird.
Okay, so it's not just me that feels like I've got it.
No, absolutely not. A little earlier on that.
I hit it too early or too late that last time?
That one was too late, probably.
You got him in the sunglasses instead of the hat.
Sunglasses, just a little bit higher. So you're holding it a little too long. Yeah, so our record holder, Adam Dewan from Department of Psychology, he got this hat hit on the first try. And that's literally why he has the record. So you got to this guy at about the 20-minute mark. So it really comes down to how long it takes you to beat him.
Right. And that's not... the guy that has the record, he didn't play this or something before.
No, but he was definitely a gamer. Like,
okay.
He games a bunch with this kid, so I could tell. A little earlier on the... Oh, so close. So close. A little earlier.
And then I keep getting kind of stuck behind him, and then I can't get ahead of him.
Yeah, if you jump when he's on you like that. Okay, turn around.
Then you can get away.
A little earlier. Yep, jump again. Yep. Got this. We got this. A little, yeah, if you see him squat at all, you're pressing it a little too long, a little too hard.
Pressing B too long.
My 10 channel points, I bet, are circling down the drain right now.
Less than 25? Yeah. I'm sorry.
No pressure, Bryan. There's other people. there's
someone's gonna make some.
There's some imaginary
money. Yeah.
For next stream, because I can't do much with it this stream. It's a little too long on the presses. Yep.
Yeah. On both of them.
That's what's tough about this. Like, the way the controller is designed is you don't have to press it down all the way. Right?
Yeah, you're used to. When you do Mario, you just hold it.
Jam it. Yep. But there's a contact time issue. So that's so close.
That was close.
So close. A little bit lower, and that would have been good.
So I hit that one a little too early.
Yep. Oh, too hard. A little late on that one. You're getting the jump at least.
Sometimes.
Just the pressure of the push.
Yeah, and the timing.
A little lower. That's so close. You're getting a lot of close tries, though. Just one needs to hit. People are invested. We don't usually do a prediction on this, but I don't know. They insisted this time.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Do I have any questions I want to ask? Oh, man. What do we have? Oh, this is a fun one I got asked by a student in, like, Gen Chem. The first-gen college students, I can't remember what they're called. But there's a specific program. They have to go around and interview faculty and ask them questions about their profession and expertise. And her question was, if I could have any guest on, dead or alive, Ask a Scientist Gaming as me as host, who would my guest be? So who would be your guest?
My guest.
Who would you force to play NARC while you ask them science questions? Euler?
Yeah, Euler would be a good choice.
Pre-computers, pre-video games. I don't know how he'd do.
Yeah. Another kind of interesting guy would be Alan Turing.
That's one that I said too. I would love to do Alan Turing, like father of video games.
The computer, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not just the computer, but the first, like, he made a chess program, like one of the first to do that. Yeah, like he wrote it out on paper and executed it in his brain. So he was one of the first video gamers. Oh, a little lighter. Oh, that was close. And if you get frustrated, I am happy to help at some point. But, I mean, this is one of those, like, level 58 of Bobble.
Yeah, right.
You have to do
it. Why don't you take care of this guy for me?
All right. So, this is the hardest part of it. So, it's a very gentle...
You'll get it on your first try. No? All right. No, I don't feel as bad.
Out of practice, but it's just that. Oof.
It feels like you're...
No, it's just a little higher than that.
So you got to hit him on the top of his hat? Like
Yep,
you...
it's like right in the top of the hat.
Okay. In the top 3 pixels.
Right there. That was it.
Okay.
All right, so now it's just rockets to the face.
Which is...
So go ahead and press
tap
start.
A.
Yep, tap A. All right,
Yeah.
now what you're going to do is run away. And you're going to walk between these 2 black lines. And you're going to shoot bullets at him.
Okay.
And then
now
while you
it's
so
hold A.
turn back, hold A, and move up and down while you're holding A.
Okay.
And sometimes it's going to break some vertebrae off.
That makes sense.
And then walk away. Exactly. You think the rockets would work on vertebrae, but
Yeah.
not with this structure. I don't know why. Oh no. Unfortunately, we have crossed the... Oh, there you go. 3 more. This is it. All right. Go right. Find the door.
Oh, so I'm just over... Well, with some help, I'm just over 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad. 26:39. And this is your first time playing this game ever, so next time you're on the stream.
There we go.
All right, if anyone has suggestions on who we should raid, put those in chat right now, because Bryan is going to go to the final level. You don't have to do anything on this level. This is civil forfeiture of the level. Collect gold, but it doesn't help you speedrun, get to the door, get to the end. It was a good run. It was a good run. It's that final boss that's the great equalizer.
Yeah, and the wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Adam just got the final boss right away, and that's the difference in everything. So congratulations. 27 minutes, 11 seconds with a little assist from me on that boss. But
I'll take it.
We did it. We beat the game. Took a little longer than expected, but not bad. 2 minutes longer. Reese's Pieces redeemed. Take a drink. So cheers, Reese's Pieces. Cheers to everyone. Thank you for joining us. We won the war on drugs. We talked about fire tornadoes. We talked about a whole lot of things, including blood flow and erosion and all sorts of stuff that fluid dynamics can model. Bryan, thank you very much for joining me tonight. It's been an awesome time. I've had a lot of fun. I've learned a bunch. You have any parting words for the audience?
Well, maybe I should just try to redeem fire science and just say that it isn't all, scary. It is an exciting thing to research. I love doing the firework, and it's not just for the scientists. There's actually a lot of it's really a very interdisciplinary field that has a lot of engineers, a lot of even social scientists, and people look at the human element of it as well. So it's a really it's a really exciting area to work in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And useful and impactful, and turns out to be really important for people that care about prescribed fires and where they propagate. So that's awesome. Thank you, Bryan. Learned a lot about a field that I didn't know much about at all going into this night. So thank you very much. The questions were a lot of fun. Thank you all for showing up. In 2 weeks, we will have another stream, but I don't have any of the guests figured out this summer. I just got the schedule solidified. Now I'm sending out emails to get someone. So I'll keep you posted. Check out Twitter or Discord and on Twitch on the informational panel. I will get the summer schedule together. Right now, I don't know who it's going to be. So we're going to figure out at some point who our next guest is going to be, but we don't know right now. So I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. At the very least, I'll be the guest and somebody else will host, but we'll figure it out. Somebody will be on. But thank you all, as always, for showing up. It's awesome having you on stream. It's always a fun time. It takes us down interesting topical areas, so we really love the journey. So thank you all, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Stick around. We're going to raid somebody science and technology related. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys later.